In Konoha, I start by summoning the traveling frog. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 51 Blue Beast. Danzo, he's really getting more and more outrageous. The Sandai's mouth was drawn back in a tense motion. He opened his eyelids and met Danzo's gaze, his eyes flashing. Danzo's fingers tightened, sensing a long-lost aura of danger from the Sandai. No, impossible. But Danzo quickly cast aside this slight hesitation and sneered. I sent someone to inform you a long time ago. The Uchiha group is rebelling. Itachi is just the beginning. It won't be long before Uchiha Fugaku will come in with his sword and take your place. I know, the Sandai said solemnly. You know everything. Tell me, what should we do with these clowns? Danzo snorted. He couldn't stand the Sandai's conciliatory and compromising attitude. Not a trace of the cage's dominance. Danzo stared at the Sandai, his inner dissatisfaction clearly visible. Suddenly, a cruel smile curled Danzo's lips. I think we should root them out completely, leaving no one behind. The Uchiha clan is inherently rebellious. First it was Madara, then Itachi, and now even Fugaku has dared to go against us. This village should change its name to Uchiha? Danzo's eyes fixed, hiding the flash of madness. While the other Uchiha clan members couldn't compare to Shisu, something was better than nothing. The third Hokage shuddered, staring at Danzo in astonishment. He appeared calm, but deep down, a turbulent storm was brewing. Exterminate the clan? This would be unprecedented in Konoha's history. If he did it, how much infamy would he bear? However, the Uchiha clan was indeed becoming more and more excessive. If this wave wasn't suppressed, the number of dissidents would only increase. Would the Hyuga clan rebel? What about the Ino Shikacho clan? What about the other clans of Konoha? It was time to make an example of them. The third Hokage gradually settled down, and the Hokage's office was filled with the smell of blood. The knife used to slay the chicken couldn't belong to one of his own. How could the Kage, who protects the village, attack his own people? Such dirty work should of course be left to the Gen in the shadows. The third Hokage looked back at Danzo, who sneered. As old friends, how could he not see what the third Hokage was thinking? Don't worry, just leave this matter to me, I've already chosen someone. Who? The third Hokage asked back, his brows slightly furrowed. The Uchiha clan is no small matter. Even if Shisu died and Itachi escaped, the strength of the Uchiha clan could not be underestimated. If only White Fang was still here. Only in this situation would the third Hokage miss Konoha's former genius, his best sword. It was originally Itachi's, but you see, the Uchiha clan is really unreliable, Danzo sneered, and then a playful smile curled up at the corner of his mouth. Tell me, if the Hyuga clan wiped out the Uchiha clan, do you think the Hyuga clan would still be able to hold their heads high in the village? By then, with the Uchiha clan gone and the Hyuga clan obedient, who could threaten the position of Kage? Danzo sneered. The Sandai's pupils trembled violently. Hyuga Hayashi? Hyuga Hayashi? No, those two old foxes wouldn't agree to that, and the Byakugan stood no chance against the Sharingan. That left only one person, a genius who had emerged from nowhere. How can you be sure Chiba would listen to us? The Sandai asked, deeply skeptical. HMPH, Danzo snorted. His expression piercing disdain as he glared at the Sandai. Don't worry about that. I have my own plans. The bloody turmoil in the Hokage's office hadn't affected Chiba at home. A ray of morning light filtered through the window screen, illuminating Chiba, who looked languid. His eyelids fluttered, and Chiba stretched lazily. Wait, did his hand just touch something? Big, soft, and very elastic. Hiss. Kainai opened his eyes instantly, his eyes white as bells. Then, he closed them again. At a time like this, of course you have to enjoy it. Pretending to be asleep is the best way. Kainai closed his eyes, the corners of his mouth curled up wildly. This finger, I just can't help wanting to. Suddenly, a scream pierced the sky, and Kainai was almost sent away. There was a loud commotion beside him. Even without opening his eyes, Kainai could imagine Sam's frantic look. His face must be red, right? Kai and I became curious, but he would never open his eyes. He didn't want to die yet. Kai and I suppressed a smile, and a sweet fragrance hit his face. Oh no. Did Sam find out? Danger, danger, danger. Kai and I wished he could turn into a corpse, and didn't even dare to breathe. But I have to say, Samu smells so good. Chiba's imagination began to wonder again. This guy, did he sleep or not? Samu muttered to himself, and Chiba's forehead was almost sweaty. Thankfully, Samu muttered something and left, and Chiba breathed a sigh of relief. Once Samu was completely gone, Chiba carefully got out of bed, like a thief. He stared at Samu's direction, lost in thought for a long time. Although he couldn't remember how he and Samu ended up together last night, this morning was still worth remembering. Chiba grinned, his mood particularly good. As usual, Chiba walked to the training ground, his hands in his pockets, feeling refreshed. However, there seemed to be something off about the atmosphere in the village. Another person in a ninja vest hurried by, and Chiba saw the familiar, slightly sad expression on his face. Along the way, he encountered many ninjas with their minds preoccupied. The sky was getting overcast, and Chiba had a vague sense of foreboding. Should I ask Kurni? Last time she caught me meeting Izumi, I didn't have time to explain myself properly. Why not take this opportunity to go out on a date with Kurni? Chiba's eyes lit up and he did what he said. Turning around, Chiba was about to look for Kurni, but ended up bumping into someone. So hard. Even through his clothes, Chiba could feel the man's powerful muscles. Before Chiba could look up and see who it was, a familiar laugh rang in his ears. Hey, Chiba-kun, come and compete with me. I heard from that kid Kakashi that you are very strong, challenging the strong and surpassing ourselves. Isn't that the meaning of our existence? Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. Chiba-kun, let's compete. The passionate words came out as if they were free. Chiba knew who he had bumped into, Konoha's blue beast, Might Guy. Sure enough, when he looked up, he saw Guy's iconic mushroom head and those big white teeth. Kai is a kind-hearted person, just a bit silly. If it were a different time or place, Kai and I might still agree to it. But you told him that he has something important to do now. Sorry, I don't have time. Chapter 52 Lifelong Rival. Chiba-kun, I won't keep you long. Let me have a sparring match. Such fine weather, perfect for a good sweat. Chiba looked up at the overcast sky, lost in thought. You call this fine weather? Chiba was speechless. He waved his hand, unwilling to argue with Kai. But Kai clung to him like a dogskin plaster, chattering incessantly in his ear. Chiba-kun, shouldn't you stretch your legs so early in the morning? Chiba-kun, come on, let me see how good you are. Chiba-kun, are you going to the Hong residence? Kai followed Chiba, vaguely discerning his destination. Chiba paused for a few seconds, rolled his eyes, and continued walking. Might Guy gritted his teeth. Chiba-kun, are you incapable of this? Chiba was stunned, his teeth grinding loudly. Incapable? You dare say he's incapable? What man could stand that? Chiba turned abruptly. You want a beating, huh? Fine, I'll give you what you want. If Might Guy kept pestering him, today's date would probably be ruined. Might as well make a quick end of this and make him leave. Of course, that incompetence of his, well, he'll definitely get his revenge. Chiba curled his lips, then turned and headed straight for the training ground. To teach Might Guy a lesson. With a roar of thunder, Chiba left only a shadow of Might Guy. Might Guy was stunned, his jaw nearly dropping to the ground. Half a second later, he came to his senses, his eyes gleaming. Chiba-kun's show of force is really getting my blood boiling. Here I come, Chiba-kun. Inside the training ground. Chiba waited only a few minutes before Might Guy arrived. His speed was quite good. You're too slow, Chiba said with a hint of admiration, but his words continued to ruthlessly criticize Might Guy. Hey, this is just a warm-up, Chiba-kun, Might Guy said, pulling off his vest. The vest fell to the ground, sending up a cloud of dust. Is it loaded with something heavy? Just like Rock Lee during the Chunin exams. Chiba narrowed his eyes, his expression growing more serious. Chiba-kun, now is not the time to be distracted. Might Guy appeared in front of Chiba in the blink of an eye and delivered a whip kick to the head. Chiba raised his hand. Bang, the sound of flesh colliding resounded. Yoshi, Chiba-kun, you're not using lightning release. Might Guy was excited. No need, if you use lightning release, that would be too much for you, Chiba said calmly. In fact, These days of training had not only made him more proficient in the use of the Thunder Fruit, but also greatly improved his physical fitness. Chiba wanted to test his taijutsu skills. After all, the fourth Raikage had nearly surpassed him using just lightning release and taijutsu. But what surprised Chiba was that Might Guy's attack had actually caused his lightning-enhanced arm to go numb. Konoha's Azure Beast was truly formidable. Meeting his match, Chiba's blood boiled with excitement. As he pondered, Might Guy's punches and kicks rained down like a terrifying barrage. Chiba countered with each strike, matching Might Guy's strength. Bang! The two separated briefly, Chiba's chest rising and falling slightly, while Might Guy was already sweating profusely. Might Guy's smile widened. Chiba-kun, you can't beat me like that. Chiba was startled. Then, he saw Might Guy pull a familiar object from his waist, a nunchaku. Oh my goodness. He's got a weapon. Ruai Jingu Bang, Chiba shouted, and with a thought. The Ruai Jingu Bang transformed to the appropriate size and appeared in his palm. Golden cudgel, what is this? Might Guy danced with a gust of wind, curious. That thing that beat you to tears. Chiba raised his golden cudgel, blocking Might Guy's first attack. Might Guy wielded his nunchaku with such ferocity that he was like Bruce Lee reincarnated. No, even more powerful than Bruce Lee. Chiba gritted his teeth. If he kept going like this, Might Guy would be forced out of his 8 gates of ninjutsu sooner or later, and he didn't want to waste time with Might Guy. Is there any way to defeat him in one move? An idea flashed in Chiba's mind. A smile crossed his face. He'd never done it before, but it might be worth a try. Chiba fought and retreated, feigning defeat. Hey, Chiba-kun, this isn't enough. Might Guy, excited, chased him with increasing courage. Chiba retreated, dragging his golden cudgel, looking like he was about to flee. He even showed his back to Might Guy. Chiba-kun, you're being careless. Might Guy leaped up and smashed his nunchaku into Chiba's back with a devastating blow. Now, a sudden counterattack. Chiba stopped abruptly, twisted his waist, and slammed his golden cudgel behind him. Bang! The ground cracked, dust flying. Chiba panted, one hand on the golden cudgel. He had only seen this move in a video, and had barely mastered it. But it was a perfect surprise. Logically, a sudden counterattack is aimed at the enemy's throat, a single blow to defeat the enemy. Chiba didn't want to kill Kai, so the golden cudgel only stabbed Kai in the chest. Should he be okay? Seeing no movement from the bottom of the pit for a long time, Chiba became uncertain. I lose. Chiba had just said that when Might Guy's hearty laughter echoed from the bottom of the pit, and a green figure flew out and landed across from Chiba. Might Guy looked a little disheveled, not only dirty, but also his training clothes were tattered. It seems that there is no big problem. Chiba opened his Byakugan and took a look. Might Guy had probably dodged most of the attacks, but he was still caught in the aftermath of the golden cudgel. Chiba, you're so strong. Might Guy gave him a thumbs up. From today on, you'll be my lifelong rival. Chiba's eyes widened instantly, and he clapped his hand to his forehead. Help! Can Kakashi come save him? He doesn't want to be haunted by Might Guy for the rest of his life, inside the Hyuga clan's territory. The usually quiet room welcomed an uninvited guest. Opposite Hyuga Hayashi sat not Hyuga Hizashi, but Uchiha Fugaku. Clad in black and white training uniforms, the Hyuga and Uchiha clan leaders sat together in an eerie yet harmonious atmosphere. What on earth was he planning? Hyuga Hayashi's brows knitted imperceptibly. Fugaku smiled. I wanted to meet the genius of the Hyuga family today, but unfortunately, Chiba-kun is not here. He has a good relationship with Itachi. I thought that with the twins from our two families, Konoha would be saved, but who would have thought that Itachi's dissatisfaction with the village would have reached the point of leaving? Fugaku said quietly, his eagle-like eyes fixed on Hyuga Hayashi. Hayashi remained unmoved. Did Lord Fugaku come here just for Chiba? Chapter 53 Ferocious Beast. Hayashi finished speaking and took a sip of his tea. Fugaku's lips curled up slightly. He didn't answer Hayashi's question. Hey, if Itachi hadn't rebelled, he would have been the next Uchiha clan leader. You probably want Chiba to be the clan leader too, right? With outstanding children, one of them must become Konoha's Kage, don't you think? Hyuga and Uchiha, the Byakugan and Sharingan, two great Kekkei Genkei, and not a single Kage. Don't you think that's absurd? Sizzle, a tiny sound. An imperceptible crack appeared in Hayashi's teacup. He knew that Fugaku's visit to him was definitely not a good thing. But he hadn't expected Fugaku to be so bold. A vein faintly appeared on his forehead, and Hayashi maintained a calm demeanor. Kage, strength isn't the only factor in determining one's kage. Fugaku-sama feels sorry for Itachi, such a genius. He could have gone to him. If there's nothing else, please leave, Fugaku-sama, Hayashi said indifferently, his words hinting at his dismissal. Uchiha Fugaku remained motionless, a smirk straining at the corners of his mouth. Hayashi frowned, truly unwilling to stay any longer. Madman. Uchiha Fugaku was a complete madman. Spending even a second with him would be unlucky. Hayashi suddenly stood up, only to find Fugaku speaking again. Hayashi-sama, aren't you dissatisfied with the current situation? The Hyuga clan is quite content with it. Uchiha Fugaku, I won't see you off, Hayashi said, leaving Uchiha Fugaku with a resolute back. Bang! The door flew open, and Hayashi felt like kicking Uchiha Fugaku out. It looked like there was no room for negotiation. What a bunch of cowards. Fugaku half-smiled, his breath snorting, a storm brewing in his eyes. If only they weren't still on Hyuga clan territory. Fugaku clenched his fists, barely suppressing the rage within him. As he passed Hayashi, he spoke 2 words calmly. Coward, get lost, Hayashi replied. Fugaku was seething with rage. This rage had been caused by Hyuga Hayashi, yet the Uchiha had to bear it. He summoned some of the Eren clan members into his room and berated them, but Fugaku still gnashed his teeth. He couldn't do it alone. Without the support of the Hyuga clan, the success of this uprising was uncertain. But with lives at stake, success was the only option, not failure. Fugaku's head was about to explode. And just then, someone recklessly pushed open the door. Get out, didn't I tell you not to come in while I'm in this room? Fugaku, assuming it was Mikado, said bluntly. Fugaku-sama, it's me, a man's voice rang out, and Fugaku frowned, turning to see a terrified Uchiha Boku. The deputy captain of the security corps. A minor figure. Fugaku snorted, but stopped short of scolding. What are you doing here? Fugaku asked, rubbing his brow. I'm here to offer advice to Master Fugaku, Uchiha Boku chuckled. If we rebel, the Uchiha clan will certainly be at a disadvantage with their strength alone, but if we can get the help of those Hyuga guys, HMPH, you're even saying that? Fugaku's anger was ignited once again, his face sullen, his tone hardened. Those blockheads are already scared to death. There's no way we can count on them. The Hyuga clan is indeed heartless, but there's a solution. Fugaku paused, rubbing his brow, his gaze sharp as a knife, glaring at Uchiha Boku. Capture the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan, and use her to threaten Hyuga Hayashi. Wouldn't that be enough? With threats and inducements, the Hyuga clan won't refuse. Uchiha Boku's words sounded reasonable at first. Fugaku pondered. The more he thought about it, the more it made sense. He was already on the brink. There couldn't be a worse outcome than death, right? In that case, why not take a big gamble? Uchiha Fugaku laughed, completely losing his composure. Your plan is excellent. If it succeeds, you'll be the head of the Anbu. Thank you, Fugaku-sama. Uchiha Boku was delighted. He left Fugaku without interrupting him. The moment he emerged from Fugaku's residence, his attentive smile vanished. After turning a few corners, he disappeared into the shadows, his whereabouts unknown. When he reappeared, Boku knelt on one knee. Standing before him was a sullen Danzo. How is it going? Was the mission completed? Danzo asked coldly. Excellently accomplished. In the corner outside Fugaku's room, Mikado clutched at the corner of her clothes, her face pale. She had only just passed by, and she had overheard Fugaku and Boku's conspiracy. How could this be? This wouldn't work. Mikado was in a state of deep panic. She wanted to persuade Fugaku, but she knew that would only exacerbate his anger. No, she had to find Chiba and make him put a stop to this. Mikado shuddered, scrambling out of her corner and running headfirst into Fugaku's chest. Where are you going? Fugaku smirked sinisterly. He looked Mikado up and down, easily noticing her abnormality. With his eyes narrowed, Fugaku exuded a dangerous aura. You know everything. I don't. I know nothing, Pa. Fugaku responded with a hard slap across Mikado's face. Look at you, you useless piece of shit. Mikado was thrown to the ground. Fugaku looked down at her, his eyes filled with disgust. Deep, bone-deep disgust. Bang! Another kick landed on Mikado's shin. It's all because of you that my son is such a wretch. A deserter, a coward, look what you've done, Fugaku cursed, unleashing all his remaining rage on Mikado. He showed no mercy, his fists and slaps raining down on Mikado like a beast tearing down its prey. He grabbed Mikado's neck, and his big hands tightened little by little. Mikado's face slowly turned purple, and her physiological reaction forced her to reach out to grab Fugaku's hand. She could feel that Fugaku really wanted to kill her this time. In Fugaku's eyes, there was only the pleasure of killing. But how could she twist an adult man? Her strength was lost bit by bit, and the tinnitus-like electric current was screaming wildly. She seemed to be really going to die. Ding! The doorbell rang, interrupting this one-sided violence. Fugaku let out a light click and let go of Mikado. Mikado breathed heavily, and with her vision blurred, she looked at Fugaku's back with hatred. She must not let Fugaku succeed. Suddenly bursting out with terrible strength, Mikado used her hands and feet to crawl to the back door. She had to find Chiba. She had to find Chiba. Chapter 54 Spring. Wind swept the clouds, and a leaf fell. Kainai reached out and grasped it between his fingers, his eyes following the veins of the leaf, his mind replaying the previous bout. Kai's taijutsu is quite good, but something felt missing. Hiss. It felt like all the taijutsu techniques were so simple. Kainai suddenly understood. This was the world of ninjutsu, where all techniques were based on chakra, devoid of any technical skill. Even the 8 gates of ninjutsu was merely a way of releasing the body's chakra restrictions and releasing excess energy. Martial arts techniques like his own backstab and other such techniques didn't exist in this world. Look at Shianshin in the future, he'll summon a slew of ninja tools, but won't he just throw them at his enemies? What if Shianshin knew Xiaoli's flying dagger, or if he knew the 9 yin manual? Kainai's eyes brightened. System, do you have any of those martial arts secrets, host? I can't rule this out, the system replied businesslike. Everything obtained by the system depends entirely on the little frog's travels, and is highly random. The system added. Kainai curled his lips, saying that it was as good as not saying anything. However, the frog hasn't come back yet, which means that everything is possible. What if? Kainai is very optimistic and looking forward to it. System, tell the little frog to be careful and don't bring back the sunflower manual for me. System. After making a joke, Kainai patted his butt and stood up, intending to look for Hong Yuiao. When passing through a dense forest, he heard a very small sigh. It sounded somewhat familiar. He became curious. Kainai followed the direction of the sound and found a spring behind a big tree. And the place where the spring was located was where Itachi often trained. Tisk, this little girl is really infatuated. Itachi, this guy, is a complete heartless man, no different from me, a playboy. Bah, that's not right, I am not a playboy. Chiba shook his head, remembering Itachi's last words before he left. He appeared in front of Izumi. Chiba-kun, Izumi exclaimed, hurriedly stood up and wiped away the faint traces of tears on his face. Izumi-chan, Chiba greeted with a smile. Sitting down casually, Chiba patted the seat next to him and motioned Izumi to sit down as well. The little girl looked very embarrassed. He didn't look like a bad guy, did he? Chiba stroked his chin, very sure. He gave Izumi a bright smile. Thinking about Itachi, Izumi was stunned, and her little face slowly turned red. A girl's thoughts were exposed. Izumi bit her lower lip and nodded slightly. After Itachi left, the whole family regarded him as a traitor and a coward. He didn't know who to tell his own thoughts to. Meeting Chiba at this moment, Izumi raised his eyes hesitantly, wavering between speaking and not speaking. Chiba saw through his thoughts. I'm Itachi's best friend, you can trust me, maybe I can even send him a letter for you. Chiba smiled, like a caring older brother next door. Really? Izumi's eyes brightened again. Chiba-kun, do you know where Itachi is? I think so, Chiba laughed. After all, Itachi joining Akatsuki was inevitable, it was just a matter of time. No one knew. Then, will Itachi come back? Izumi hoped, Chiba reluctant to disappoint her. Of course, you have to trust Itachi, here are his brother, his mother, and you. He will definitely come back, so, you have to train hard so that when Itachi returns, you can stand shoulder to shoulder with him. Chiba pumped his fist in encouragement. Izumi listened intently, the gloom on his face clearing, replaced by excitement. Okay, Izumi said solemnly. Brother Chiba, what else did Itachi say to you? Brother Chiba, have you ever competed with Itachi? Who won? Brother Chiba, Izumi chirped like a little sparrow, peppering him with Itachi-related questions. Chiba patiently answered them, unfazed. Before he knew it, the sky was growing darker. Izumi yawned briefly, and Chiba, gazing at the setting sun on the horizon, felt that the girl's spirits had recovered somewhat. Well, it was time for dinner. Izumi, let's go get some barbecue, Chiba suggested excitedly. As the saying goes, there's nothing a barbecue can't solve. If there is, then two. But treating a girl to barbecue doesn't seem like a good idea, does it? Chiba looked at Izumi expectantly, her eyes twinkling. Okay. Inside the barbecue restaurant, steam was rising. The aroma of meat greeted him, accompanied by the sizzling sound of hot oil, whetting Chiba's appetite. He sat down with Izumi and, looking up, his eyes met the person across from him, Ino Shikajo. Not Ino Shikajo from the 12, but their father. Although the little Ino Shikajo was with him, Chiba subconsciously ignored him. His eyes met Shikaku's for a moment, then Chiba looked away, focused on the menu. Elsewhere, the little Ino Shikajo, who had come for barbecue with her fathers, also spotted Chiba. Wow, it's Chiba-kun. Upon seeing Chiba, Ino immediately transformed into a little fangirl, eager to throw herself at him. Because of his outstanding performance in the ninja exams, Chiba had become the Prince Charming of many girls in Konoha, leaving Sasuke, Niji, and the like aside. Ah, this is so troublesome, Shikamaru grumbled helplessly, holding back the eager Ino. Uncle Heiai was still there, could this guy just tone it down a bit? Shikamaru was helpless, seeing how perceptive he was at such a young age. Shikamaru, if you don't eat it, I'll take this piece of meat. Beside him, Chaji was completely oblivious to what was happening, his attention completely focused on the meat in Shikamaru's bowl. Shikamaru, this is so troublesome. Could his friends be more reliable? Shikamaru took a deep breath and looked at his elders. No one had noticed. Uncle Heiai, Uncle Choza, and even his father all had serious expressions. Was something big going to happen? Shikamaru frowned, instinctively trying to avoid the trouble of thinking. For some reason, he glanced at Chiba again. Chiba still looked indifferent. Chiba didn't know Shikamaru was looking at him, he was still talking to Izumi. The conversation had suddenly turned to the Uchiha clan. Hey, Chiba-ni, I think Itachi ran away because the clan put too much pressure on him. Did Hayashi-sama tell you anything? That you must work hard, surpass everyone, become a master among thousands. Izumi poked at a piece of meat, a look of worry on his face. Itachi sometimes tells me that Uncle Fugaku has high expectations of him. Uncle Fugaku seems to dislike everyone. Itachi is just his tool, and the same goes for Aunt Mikado. Chiba slowly raised his eyebrows, his eyes sharp. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Recruiting a Disciple. Izumi continued to talk, unaware that Chiba was watching her. The atmosphere at Itachi's house is terrifying. If Itachi hadn't been there, I'd never set foot in that place again. Uncle Fugaku is so scary. I've heard him say it so many times. Izumi suddenly grew nervous, glancing around and lowering her voice considerably. Brother Chiba, don't tell anyone. Chiba was startled, sitting up straight involuntarily, even putting down his chopsticks. I suspect Uncle Fugaku would kill someone. He's a madman. A madman who can't control himself. Izumi's thoughts flickered, a flicker of fear in her eyes. Snap. The chopsticks dropped. Kill whom? Sasuke? Impossible. He's Fugaku's only bloodline. Kill anyone else? Impossible too. Such a bad reputation would be enough to dethrone Fugaku from his position as clan leader. Konoha was peaceful right now, without war, and Fugaku wouldn't kill anyone from another village. After ruling out all the possibilities, Chiba could only think of one, Mikado. He'd seen the scars on Mikado's body more than once. Fugaku might have beaten her to death. Such an impotent, furious man only dared to take his anger out on his wife. And as Mikado's husband, even if he killed her, Fugaku would be able to cover it up perfectly. Chiba frowned deeply, and the atmosphere was heavy. Brother Chiba, Izumi, I have a favor to ask of you. Chiba was serious, his face stern and formal. Izumi was startled, shifting her position, and then her expression became serious as well. She gestured with her eyes to Chiba to continue. My status doesn't suit me to stay in the Uchiha clan, but you are different. I'm worried something might happen to Mikado. Could you keep an eye on her for me? Just keep an eye on her. It won't be too much trouble. Trying not to sound out of place, Chiba paused. After all, she's Itachi's mother. Neither you nor I want anything to happen to her, right? Izumi was shocked, and clenched her fists. Yes, Itachi was gone, and she had to protect Itachi's mother. And Sasuke too. Thinking of this, Izumi nodded without hesitation. Don't worry, Chiba-Jack, I'll take good care of Aunt Mikado. Good girl. Chiba smiled with relief. You have to protect yourself too. Like you said, Fugaku is a crazy bastard. Be sure to notify me if anything happens. Okay. After finishing the barbecue, Chiba walked Izumi to the door and waved goodbye. Turning back home, Chiba lay in bed, unable to fall asleep for a long time, thinking about Mikado. He didn't even know how he fell asleep. The next morning, Chiba woke early, his biological clock working, and stretched out his hands. Hiss, that familiar touch? Tilting his head slightly, Chiba saw Samu's peaceful sleeping face. He didn't know when it started, but every day when he woke up, he would see Samu lying next to him. Over time, he got used to it. What on earth does this girl mean? Chiba looked up and down at Samu's fair and delicate face, his eyes gradually changing. What a shame, with such a beautiful woman lying next to him, and he can't do anything. Chiba gnashed his teeth in resentment, and with a thought, he entered the system space. The rejuvenation pill lay quietly in his palm, very tempting. Chiba played with the pill, feeling distressed. If he ate it, how would he explain to others that he had grown to 18 years old overnight? Was it because of overnutrition? If he didn't eat it, he really couldn't help hanging out with all those beautiful women every day. His body, his mind, everything about him was bound. Chiba pulled at his hair, extremely tangled. After a struggle, he silently put the rejuvenation pill back. Alice. A heavy sigh. Chiba emerged from the system space and left the room. Hinata was practicing in the courtyard. The little one was working hard, her face rosy and a light touch of sweat. But perhaps because Hyuga Hayashi was watching meticulously from the side, little Hinata was visibly nervous. Not only did she not complete the palm technique, but she also made several mistakes. Hinata. Pay attention. Hyuga Hayashi couldn't help but frown, his tone becoming more stern. Hinata shuddered like a little quail. Yes, father, she answered loudly, her voice lacking confidence. Try again. Hyuga Hayashi couldn't bear to watch, and kept on coaching. The angle is wrong, you're facing an enemy, not air. Use some strength, Hinata, speed up. Speed up. Hayashi found a mistake in almost every palm strike. The more Hinata practiced, the more guilty she felt, and the more guilty she felt, the worse she performed. Mistake after mistake, her face turning pale. Hinata, I'm sorry, father, Hinata groaned, her head hanging. Oh my god, Hayashi had nearly scolded Hinata to tears. Chiba felt a pang of distress, and he quickly ran over to take Hinata's hand. Don't be afraid, Hinata. Let me teach you, okay? Hinata's face immediately lit up, and she didn't even bother asking Hayashi's opinion, nodding her head in agreement. Chiba smiled faintly, carefully guiding Hinata. Hyuga Hayashi stood with his arms folded across his chest, his lips set straight, yet the corners of his mouth curled upward. Hinata really seemed to trust Chiba-kun. Hayashi couldn't help but think, silently watching Hinata grow in confidence and proficiency under Chiba's guidance. Hayashi had a bold idea. Haha, under Chiba's guidance, Hinata perfectly executed a set of palm techniques. The little girl stood there stunned, staring at his palms in disbelief. Brother Chiba, Hinata exclaimed, and the next moment she hugged Chiba's neck. I did it, congratulations. Chiba rubbed Hinata's little head, affectionate yet distant. His eyes glanced at Hayashi. The clan leader is still a bit of a hindrance here. Chiba suppressed the ripples in his heart and led Hinata to Hayashi. Hayashi's face showed a rare look of satisfaction. Thank you for your hard work, Chiba-kun, Hyuga Hayashi said politely. It's not hard. Little Hinata works very hard, but she just hasn't found the right method, and her mentality is not calm. Yes, Hinata is particularly relaxed when she is with you. Chiba was stunned, curled his lips, and smiled. He didn't respond, because Hayashi sounded quite meaningful. What is the old fox planning? He raised his eyebrows and looked straight into Hayashi's eyes. Hayashi did not hide it either. Chiba-kun, I would like to ask you to be Hinata's teacher and train with her. Hinata is the eldest daughter of the main family. She needs to grow and needs strength, and I think, in the whole family, there is probably no one more suitable than you. Chiba-kun, are you willing? Chapter 56. It's hard to explain. Chiba really didn't expect that Hayashi was going to say this. However, becoming Hinata's master, there seemed to be no reason to refuse. Why didn't you say it earlier? This way, he could be with Hinata openly, right? Chiba curled his lips and nodded in agreement immediately. It's my honor to be Hinata's teacher. Chiba readily agreed to Hayashi, and Hayashi felt relieved. He thought Chiba would not agree. Brother Chiba, Hinata exclaimed, her eyes bright. So happy. Brother Chiba became her teacher. Does that mean she can be with Brother Chiba more often in the future? Little Hinata was very excited, and she was also looking forward to it. Originally, he should have taken Hinata with him to practice together, but why did Jiraiya come too? In the dessert shop, Chiba raised his eyes and looked at Jiraiya, who was eating with relish, and he couldn't eat any more. Uncle, what on earth do you want to talk to me about? I'm busy every day, Chiba muttered in dissatisfaction. HMPH, busy picking up girls, the one from the Yuhi family? The eldest daughter of the Hyuga family? Or that big, Jounin from Kumogakure? Jiraiya mercilessly exposed Chiba. Chiba smiled sheepishly, suppressing his temper. Jiraiya glanced at Chiba and tossed the stick aside. Kid, do you remember the press conference I told you about? Yes, I did prepare well. Would you like to see my speech? Jiraiya. You don't have to be so well prepared. Jiraiya changed the subject. The publisher and I agree that after the press conference, you can go out and travel and find some material. After all, the second half of your novel is a bit weak, but it's still very good. After Jiraiya finished speaking, Chiba fell into deep thought. Travel? Chiba's pupils flickered for a moment. Since arriving in the Naruto world, it seemed he hadn't been anywhere else besides Konoha and Kumogakure. What would other places be like? What beauties, oh no, what masters. If even a little frog could travel every day, he had to catch up. A flicker of longing ignited in Chiba's heart. But then, that tiny spark was quickly suppressed. He still had many things to deal with. It wasn't time for a wandering adventure yet. Mikado's safety, Kurina's feelings, and, wouldn't it be inappropriate for him to start wandering right after becoming Hinata's teacher? Hinata Hayashi would be the first to break his legs. Chiba winced and waved his hand in defiance. Forget it, my strength has reached a plateau, and I want to resolve this matter first. Writing a book or something, no rush. Chiba stuffed a meatball into his mouth and made up an excuse. It wouldn't be too late to leave once he had everything settled in Konoha. Although Chiba hadn't agreed to Jiraiya's request, he already had the idea of wandering. Jiraiya nodded, said it's up to you, and continued to eat the meatballs. A line of wild geese flew across the sky. At the same time, at the door of Hong's house, Asuma squatted there, staring at the end of the street. He couldn't bear the restlessness in his heart, and came to find Hong. But, after waiting for a long time, Hong didn't come. Asuma gradually lost his patience, put his hand in his pocket, and wanted to light a cigarette, but accidentally touched a square booklet. Asuma was stunned, and his brows frowned involuntarily. Before coming to Hong's house, he had just gone to see Kakashi. For nothing else, it was just because of the damn novel written by Chiba. Asuma didn't remember who mentioned that Chiba wrote a novel, which was very popular and good. He didn't believe it. Who is Chiba? Can you read what that guy wrote? Asuma was very disdainful. He went to Kakashi to borrow a book, for nothing else, just to be able to mock Chiba in the future. With nothing else to do, Asuma pulled out the novel. The moment he saw the title, his brow furrowed. Young lady? Such a common name. It's so commonplace. Asuma snorted, flipping through it casually, and then, oh, so exciting. So vivid. Asuma was a little excited, his blood boiling, especially. Asuma, what are you doing here? Suddenly, Kurina's voice rang out, startling Asuma. He lost his grip and dropped young lady to the ground. As it happened, the illustrated side was exposed. It had to be said that Jiraiya, to boost Chiba's sales, had hired the best illustrators, bringing some of the famous scenes to life. Asuma saw it, and Kurina saw it too. Oh no. Asuma, thinking to himself, this is not good, kicked the book away. Kurina, listen to me, it's not what you think, Pa. Kurina, not willing to listen, slapped him across the face. This guy, Sneaking into her house was one thing, but he even dared to look at something this obscene. What on earth was Asuma trying to do? Kuronai was shocked and furious, her face livid. Asuma, stay away from me, I don't want to see a disgusting person like you, Kuronai cursed, shoving the stunned Asuma aside and turning away. Asuma awoke with a start, clutching his swollen face, unable to believe what had just happened. Kuronai slapped him? And called him disgusting? Asuma was stunned, his face gradually contorting. It was all Chiba's fault. This obscene thing was clearly written by Chiba, so why was he being blamed? Asuma's face was grim, his teeth gnashing, his hatred for Chiba intensifying. Across the village, Chiba sneezed unexpectedly. Achoo, Chiba wiped his nose, unconcerned. Someone's scolding you, Jiraiya said firmly from the opposite side. Maybe it's my readers complimenting me, Chiba joked. The two chatted casually when suddenly, a graceful figure in red caught Chiba's eye. Chiba quickly stood up. Teacher Hong, why are you here? Hong pursed her lips, expressionless. After greeting Jiraiya, she didn't respond to Chiba's words, simply staring at him with her clear, autumn water eyes. Jiraiya discreetly poked Chiba's waist. The girl's in a bad mood, I know. The two exchanged silent glances. What should I do? Chiba had never been in love in his previous life, so he really didn't know how to please a woman. Jiraiya gave him a thumbs up, an enigmatic smile. Chiba's Adam's apple twitched, a faint sense of something amiss. Take her to the bath. Jiraiya confidently offered a solution. Chiba? Are you really not thinking of doing something else? Weird uncle. Chapter 57 Massage. But when I think about it carefully, soaking in a hot spring is indeed a good idea. Soaking comfortably in a warm pool, all the troubles will be forgotten, right? Besides, Hong rejected me last time, and I feel a little disappointed when I think about it. Chiba raised an eyebrow. Hong, let's go to the hot spring. As he said that, without waiting for Hong to refuse, Chiba pulled her up and ran. Before leaving, Chiba did not forget to look back. He looked at Jiraiya and smiled maliciously. Jiraiya's heart skipped a beat. Everyone, your expenses today are all covered by that white-haired uncle. Chiba grinned and pointed at Jiraiya. Jiraiya was stunned by the white-haired uncle, and then he became furious. He was planning to go to the hot spring with Chiba. Hey, you little brat. Before Jiraiya finished speaking, he was immediately grabbed by the store owner. Sir, please settle the bill for your table first. Jiraiya's breath was choked, and his fists were stiff. Damn little brat. Down the street, Chiba held Hong's hand, running freely and unrestrained. The pedestrians, the road, and even the scenery all passed by behind them, and Hong felt a genuine sense of relief. It seemed as if all her worries melted away as long as Chiba was around. Because of this, Hong refused to say no until they reached the bathhouse. Unsurprisingly, the bathing was mixed. Wrapped in a towel, Hong entered the water, and Chiba immediately clung to her. Let me give you a massage. After their last time in the bathhouse with Samui, Chiba had grown increasingly confident in his technique. Hong hesitated, but seeing the sincerity and anticipation in Chiba's eyes, she bit her lip and nodded, agreeing. She shyly exposed her back to Chiba, and the moment his hand touched hers, she felt a throb of relief, nearly falling to the bottom of the pool. Chiba, be gentle, Hong couldn't help but warn him, her face flushed. Oh, okay, Chiba was completely focused on the massage, with no ulterior motives, well, a little. Suppressing the slight ripple in his heart, Kainai restrained his strength and began to rub skillfully. Hong moaned, but her condition did not improve much despite Kainai's gentleness. On the contrary, after slowing down his movements, Kainai's palm brushed across her skin like a feather, bringing a tingling sensation like an electric current. Oh no! Hong's body sank down, hoping to avoid the excessive pleasure. A soft moan escaped, and Hong quickly covered her mouth. It was too hot, stuffy and hot, and her head was dizzy. Hong swore that she would never come to the hot spring with Kainai again. When they came out of the hot spring, it was almost dark. There were still 2 red clouds on Hong's cheeks. Kainai rubbed his hands, and the fragrant and soft jade-like touch seemed to still remain in his palms. This wave was worth it. Chiba suppressed a smile and coughed lightly. Just as he was about to discuss the next steps of their date with Hong, a man in a solid-colored kimono hurried over, clearly a member of the Hyuga clan. The Hyuga ninja also spotted Chiba and ran over, sweat dripping from his forehead. Chiba-sama, this is bad, Miss Hinata is missing. What did you say? Chiba's pupils suddenly constricted, and his aura exploded. Even the wind and clouds shifted color. Hayashi-sama has summoned you back. Please. Hyuga Dongfang's eyes flickered between Chiba and Hong, the meaning clear. Hong, I'll go back first. I'm so sorry, it's okay. Go ahead. Hong didn't hesitate, releasing Chiba's hand. The Hyuga clan's eldest daughter's disappearance was no joke. Chiba nodded solemnly, and within seconds, he was back in the Hyuga clan's courtyard, where Hayashi and Hayashi were both present. What exactly happened? Chiba asked, his face grim and gloomy. Could it be someone from Kumogakure again? With a previous experience as a lesson, Chiba couldn't help but blame Kumogakure for this. Because of his meddling, Kumogakure not only failed to earn the Byakugan but also lost face. It's only natural that they'd come back and abduct Hinata. However, we can't just suspect Kumogakure alone. His eyes darkened, and Chiba gazed at the office beneath Hokage Rock, anger rising. Could it be you, Sandame? To take revenge on me, you'd attack a little girl. Sandame, you're truly despicable. Chiba gritted his teeth, nearly storming out. Chiba, Hinata was taken by the Uchiha? Seeing Chiba's thoughts, Hayashi quickly grabbed him and said something startling. Chiba paused. Uchiha, do they want to die? Chiba's eyes froze, a blue-purple electric current coursing wildly around him, revealing his current mood. Unhappy. Very unhappy. They want the Hyuga clan to join them in the rebellion. Hyuga Hayashi stepped forward, explaining Hayashi's situation. The Uchiha clan had blatantly left evidence and demands, threatening Hinata's life to get the Hyuga clan to assist them. Chiba frowned, never expecting Fugaku to do such a filthy thing. He turned to look at Hayashi. So what's your decision? Help the Uchiha clan, or sacrifice Hinata, my clan leader? The mockery in Chiba's tone was clear. After all, whether in the original world or before, sacrificing his clan members to preserve the family was Hayashi's consistent choice. First it was Hisashi, then himself, so was it Hinata's turn this time? Chiba clenched his fists, swearing that if Hayashi dared to nod, his fists would strike Hayashi in the face in the next second. Chiba, Hayashi growled, not allowing Chiba to slander Hayashi like this. Chiba, Hinata is my daughter, I will not give up on her, I will not give up on my clan members, Hayashi said in a deep, calm voice, oblivious to Chiba's offense. Don't worry. Since the Uchiha are holding Hinata hostage, she's at least safe now. What we need to do is find a way to rescue Hinata, fight our way in and get her back. It's that simple, Chiba said calmly, turning and walking away. He'd long disliked Fugaku. Perfect, let's settle old scores together. A sinister grin curled Chiba's lips. Swish, suddenly, a masked man appeared before Chiba. Anbu. Hayashi and Hisashi were both startled and stepped sideways to block Chiba's way. The Anbu man remained unmoved. Hyuga Chiba, the third Hokage summons you, Chiba. Hayashi tried to dissuade Chiba from going. Chiba ignored him, using his instant body technique once again, appearing in the Hokage's office. He wanted to see what the third Hokage was up to. Inside the office, both the third Hokage and Denzo were clearly waiting for him. If you have something to say, speak up. Chiba's tone was far from polite. Chiba-kun, you have a new mission. I'm busy, Chiba said coldly. The third Hokage shook off the ash from his cigarette, dismissing it. The mission to destroy the Uchiha? Chiba, do you want to take it? Chapter 58 Conspiracy. Inside the Uchiha clan's patriarch, Fugaku's mansion. In a dimly lit room, Hinata lay tied up with her hands behind her back, a black cloth covering her eyes, dark stains on the cloth. She cried for who knows how long. Mikado, pushing the door open, saw the scene and was heartbroken. That day, she hadn't escaped to find Chiba. Fugaku had recaptured her and beaten her again. Fortunately, Fugaku's rage had cooled, and he hadn't killed her. It was almost her own fault, but Hinata was finally kidnapped. Mikado stood at the doorway, holding a meal, thinking guiltily. Who's coming in? Hinata shuddered at the sound of the door being pushed open, and she couldn't help but recoil. It's me, I'm here to bring you food, Mikado said. It was her sister. Hinata's guard dropped slightly, and Mikado approached, squatting down. She looked at the black cloth covering the little girl's face, her heart aching. She reached out and loosened the black cloth. Hinata, regaining her sight, felt a little uncomfortable, blinking her large eyes for a long moment. Once she adjusted, she stared at Mikado intently. You're hurt, Hinata said crisply. It looks painful. Mikado's injuries grew more pronounced. This time even her eye sockets were bruised. Mikado was startled, then subconsciously avoided Hinata's concerned gaze. Are all the Hyuga family members so gentle? Mikado couldn't help but think of Chiba, who is always the first to care for her. Sister, I have some medicine in my pocket. It's very effective. You can try it, Hinata said again, twisting her body and showing Mikado her pocket. This girl, truly kind. Even in the state, she still had the time to care for her. Mikado smiled wryly, but a warm feeling remained within her. She took out the medicine bottle and saw that it was exactly the same as the one Chiba had applied to her last time. Mikado was stunned, and so many things came back to her. Oh, if only Chiba were here. Just then, Hinata mentioned Chiba. Chiba is very capable. He'll definitely get me out and help you teach the bad guys a lesson. Hinata's lips tightened, her face determined. Help her teach the bad guys a lesson? Mikado was distracted. If you encounter any difficulties, you can tell me. Chiba's words echoed in her mind for the umpteenth time, and gradually, Mikado's eyes became determined. He will come to us, for sure. Meanwhile, outside the room, Sasuke returned home exhausted, his face tired and indifferent. After Itachi left, his world fell. He hated that irresponsible man. Sasuke's eyes darkened, his face darkened. Just as he was about to go upstairs to rest, Fugaku spoke. Where have you been? Training, father, Sasuke said calmly. Training? What's the point? No matter how hard you try, you can't compare to Itachi. He's the real Uchiha. And you, Fugaku sneered, as if he wasn't scolding his own son, but a complete stranger. Sasuke took a deep breath, his back teeth clenching loudly. What did you even come back for? With your mediocre skills, you should have stayed at the training grounds. You have no talent, no diligence. I truly gave birth to a loser. Fugaku cursed Sasuke and then walked out, completely devoid of any warmth. Lost. Everyone thinks he's lost. Everyone thinks he's no match for Itachi. Why? Why would they compare him to a traitor? Sasuke clenched his fists and gritted his teeth, roaring furiously inwardly. Tears welled up in his eyes. But he fought to hold them back. No, he absolutely couldn't cry. He couldn't be weaker than Itachi. Sasuke bit his lower lip so hard that it drew blood. Sasuke-kun, Izumi had arrived at some point and was horrified to see Sasuke in this state. Sasuke didn't even glance at her, heading straight back to his room. Izumi stared at Sasuke's back with worry, suppressing the turmoil within her. She had snuck in to see Aunt Mikado, not to comfort Sasuke, Izumi explained to herself. She carefully searched around, but couldn't find Mikado. Her heart skipped a beat, and Izumi panicked. She had come to see Mikado as Chiba had asked, but Mikado wasn't there. How could she explain this to Chiba? How could she explain this to Itachi? Izumi panicked, spun around, and saw that familiar figure. Izumi breathed a sigh of relief. Aunt Mikado. Where have you been? You scared me to death. Are you okay? Did Uncle Fugaku do anything to you? Izumi rushed to her words, but Mikado held her hand, urging her to be quiet. Izumi stopped talking just in time. Izumi, listen to me, Mikado said seriously. She had just been wondering how to notify Chiba. After all, the entire clan was under martial law, and ordinary people couldn't leave. But who would care about a child? Mikado stared at Izumi, her eyes growing brighter. Izumi, quickly go to the Hyuga clan and find someone named Chiba. Have him come here to rescue them. Rescue who? Izumi asked blankly. Mikado hesitated. Rescue Hinata? That was too blatant. She could only rescue me, Mikado said firmly. Hyuga clan, Chiba clan. After leaving the third Hokage's office, Chiba returned here. Although the third Hokage assured him that Enbu members would assist him, Chiba didn't believe it. He even had a premonition that after the Uchiha clan was defeated, their minions would turn on him. If he killed both the Uchiha clan and the Enbu members, he would have no place in Konoha. So Chiba returned, and he had things to tell him. However, to Chiba's surprise, the first person he met wasn't Hyuga Hayashi, but Samu. The concern on Samu's face made Chiba's heart skip a beat. Chiba, I know Hinata's been kidnapped. I understand you're upset. Don't worry, this can definitely be resolved. The Hyuga clan is a powerful force in Konoha. Just calm down, Samu didn't finish her words, and the next second she fell into Chiba's arms. "Thank you, Samu, thank you for comforting me," Chiba whispered sincerely in Samu's ear. Comfort? Comfort? Was she comforting Chiba just now? How could she possibly be thinking about Chiba? She wished Chiba would lose his mind, go on a murderous rampage, and ultimately be ruined. Samu frowned slightly, unaware that the tips of her ears were turning red. "HMPH, who comforted you? I was just worried you'd blame Kumogakure." Samu broke free from Chiba's embrace and turned away. This girl is really awkward. Chiba couldn't help but laugh. Suddenly. Brother Chiba. Chapter 59, Mangekyo Sharingan, Open. Chiba was startled, recognizing Izumi's voice. He turned to see Izumi leap down from the wall, running breathlessly to him. "Oh no, Chiba-kun, go save Aunt Mikado." "What's wrong with Mikado?" Chiba asked hurriedly, his brow furrowed. "Fugaku, do you really want to die?" Chiba's first reaction was that Mikado had been bullied by Fugaku again. He repeatedly assaulted those he cared about. How did Fugaku manage to cross his line at every turn? Chiba took a deep breath, a tyrannical aura surrounding him. Izumi looked at Chiba hesitantly, unsure where to begin. Mikado had just told her that the Uchiha clan was going to rebel. Izumi then realized the seriousness of the situation. Rebellion? What on earth was Fugaku thinking? Wasn't he dragging the entire clan down with him? Izumi didn't understand the twists and turns. She only knew that the Uchiha clan alone could never contend with all of Konoha. She and Mikado had both despaired of the Uchiha clan. They didn't want the village to be plunged into civil strife and suffering. This rebellion was destined to end in defeat for the Uchiha clan. But what about the other peaceful clan members? They didn't want to go against the village either. They would either die fighting against the village or be slain by Konoha. Izumi was lost, her eyes misting over as she thought of the kind people in her clan. Seeing Izumi remain silent for a long time, even looking like she was on the verge of tears, Chiba's heart tightened and she hurriedly asked, "Brother Chiba." Izumi grasped Chiba's arms, trying to stifle her sobs. She decided to cut to the chase. "The Uchiha clan is rebelling. Go and save Aunt Mikado." Chiba was startled, then nodded solemnly. "I will." Even Izumi knew about this. It seemed the situation was truly urgent. Chiba brushed off Izumi's hand and prepared to head straight for the Uchiha clan's territory. Suddenly, Izumi grabbed him again. "Brother Chiba, can you let go of those Uchiha who don't want to rebel?" Izumi said in a trembling voice. "They don't want to rebel either. It's all Fugaku's fault. Fugaku forced them. Brother Chiba, please, let them go." I really..." Izumi couldn't help sobbing halfway through her words. She unconsciously hugged Chiba's arms, very tightly. As if she would not let Chiba leave if Chiba didn't agree. Chiba turned around and gently wiped away the tears from Izumi's eyes. Even if Izumi didn't say it, he wouldn't wipe out the entire Uchiha clan. The third Hokage wanted to use his sword to get rid of the Uchiha clan as soon as possible, but he had to ask him if he agreed. He wouldn't let the Konoha high-ups sit there and watch comfortably. "I promise you, I will let those innocent people go," Chiba said softly, comforting Izumi like an older brother. "Don't worry, I'll only kill Fugaku and his lackeys." "Really?" Izumi exclaimed, her tears stagnating. She rummaged in her pockets for a moment, pulled out a scroll, and handed it to Chiba. Chiba opened it. Inside were names, portraits, and detailed addresses and information about each person. "This is everything Aunt Mikado and I have come up with who was behind the rebellion. I hope it's useful to you." Izumi wiped the tears from her face, her emotions gradually calming down. She glanced around, realizing she shouldn't be away from the Uchiha clan for too long. The longer she stayed, the easier it would be to discover. "I have to go, Chiba-ni." Izumi stepped back. Her eyes filled with worry. "You must be careful, okay?" Chiba said gravely. Before heading to the Uchiha clan's territory, Chiba's last stop was the residence of Hyuga Hayashi. Inside, only a small light in the corner lit the room. Chiba's face, hidden in the dim light, was barely visible. "Sarutobi asked me to annihilate the Uchiha clan, and I agreed," Chiba said bluntly. Hayashi was shocked, both by the third's ruthlessness and Chiba's audacity. Annihilate a clan? And an Uchiha clan with a Sharingan? How could Chiba dare? But seeing the cold indifference tinged with anger on Chiba's face, Hayashi suppressed his inner thoughts. "While I'm dealing with the Uchiha clan, the third will most likely send Anbu to deal with the Hyuga clan. You must be extremely careful." Chiba gave his instructions and stood up to leave. "Chiba, Hayashi hesitated and called out to Chiba. Chiba paused. Do you need support? No, Chiba said flatly. The most important thing for the Hyuga clan right now is to protect themselves, not wade into troubled waters. However, Chiba changed the subject. Thank you, clan leader. With a flash of lightning, Chiba disappeared. Standing on the familiar electric pole, Chiba looked down at the Uchiha clan territory and couldn't help but sigh that the scenery was quite nice. If Itachi stood here according to the script, what would he want to write? Chiba couldn't help but get curious. Some unlucky guy saw Chiba trespassing into the clan territory. Then, puff, a lightning spear pierced his chest. Fugaku's lackey, -1. Chiba landed gracefully, like a sure in the world. The blue-purple figure kept shuttling back and forth in the clan territory, leaving corpses everywhere. Occasionally, there were thunderous sounds. With Chiba's current strength, it would be effortless for him to kill some ordinary Uchiha. They didn't even have the chance to open their Sharingan. A one-sided massacre. As the night deepened, the smell of blood rose. After killing the last mastermind of the rebellion, Chiba's chest rose and fell slightly, and he was a little out of breath. It seems that his physical fitness needs to be strengthened. Chiba clenched his fist, feeling he was using only 20 to 30% of his strength. Hinata, Chiba, a sudden roar echoed, followed by a sharp sound behind Chiba. He dodged to the side, and Uchiha Fugaku's steel blade grazed Chiba's afterimage. Chiba turned to face Fugaku, his eyes bloodshot, watching his impotent rage. Why are you calling me Grandpa? Chiba replied calmly. Fugaku gasped, his 3 Magatama Sharingan trembling. Chiba, you'll die a horrible death. Chiba's indifferent face, and the tragic deaths of his clansmen behind him, snapped the string of reason in Fugaku's mind. Dead, all dead. His clansmen, his allies, his ambitions, all destroyed by Chiba. All his chakra converged into one place, and Fugaku experienced a maddening, eerie, yet incredibly wonderful feeling. That feeling was called power. Chiba watched as Fugaku's Sharingan changed. Mangekyou Sharingan, open. Chapter 60, that's it? After witnessing the death of a close friend during the Third Shinobi World War, Fugaku activated his Mangekyou Sharingan. However, using it was too exhausting for him, so he kept it well hidden. This was originally reserved for the Ninetales, Chiba, Fugaku sneered. Today, I will use these eyes to tear you into pieces, die at the hands of the Sharingan, Hyuga Chiba. Fugaku rushed in front of Chiba in the blink of an eye. Chiba suddenly leaped back, a flicker of shock in his eyes. He had no idea what Fugaku's Mangekyou Sharingan could do. How could he defeat it? Chiba's expression grew graver. Normally, the Mangekyou Sharingan's abilities would correspond to its owner's strengths, such as Shisu's Kido Matsukami, Itachi's Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. But what was Fugaku's specialty? Domestic violence? Chiba gritted his teeth, his mind racing as he dodged Fugaku's frenzied attacks. No, he remembered Fugaku was also skilled in fire release. Shit, could there be Amaterasu? Chiba's head raced, nearly slipping. But, as always, what you fear comes true. Fugaku lunged forward with a mad laugh. Realizing his physical skills couldn't keep up with Chiba's, he unleashed his Mangekyou technique without hesitation. Amaterasu, shit. Chiba was horrified. Almost instinctively, he summoned the purple gold gourd. Through repeated experiments, Chiba discovered that his purple gold gourd could absorb objects without prompting. Of course, if it were human, they would still have to respond. But he wondered if it could absorb Amaterasu. If not, he'd have to resort to the nature fruit and the strongest physical attacks. Chiba gritted his teeth, and the moment the black flames attached themselves to him, he activated his lightning armor and unleashed the purple gold gourd. As he watched with anticipation and trepidation, the black flames that had been hurtling towards him redirected and were absorbed by the purple gold gourd. Chiba curled his lips, then stood still, sneering at the stunned Fugaku. Are you tickling me? Chiba scoffed. Fugaku's mouth tightened, his arrogance nearly crumbling. How could it be possible? The strongest flame, how could it be absorbed? Fugaku suppressed the slightest hesitation and panic in his heart, his arrogance undiminished. Before he could make the next move, Chiba had already rushed before him, his body covered in lightning armor. 8 trigrams 64 palms, divine judgment, a large-scale high-voltage electrical current emanated from Chiba's palms, combined with Chiba's soft fists, each lightning strike accurately targeting Fugaku's body. Chiba's lips curled into a confident smile. However, Susanoo, Fugaku was no fool. Sensing the explosive power of the lightning soft fist, he immediately summoned Susanoo. A layer of pure black armor enveloped Fugaku, forcing him to withstand Chiba's combined attacks. Crack! Fugaku stared in disbelief at the slight crack in Susanoo's ribs. Fortunately, it was only a tiny crack. Fugaku breathed a sigh of relief. After 64 palm strikes, Chiba withdrew his palms, effortlessly. Looking at the black armor beneath his hand, Chiba narrowed his eyes. Has anyone ever told you that your Susanoo is the ugliest, Fugaku? Chiba sneered. 60 million Vote Thunder Dragon. While Fugaku was stunned, Chiba unleashed his ultimate move at close range, 60 million Vote Thunder Dragon. This move combined the power of a thunder beast with the speed of a thunderbird, and at such close range, its power was dramatically increased. Fugaku's Susanoo was only in its initial form. He must not be allowed to unleash its full power. While it was highly likely he hadn't yet unleashed it, there was no room for complacency. A quick and decisive battle. Chiba resolved. Puff! Fugaku finally couldn't hold back his mouth full of blood, and it spurted out. Susanoo was on the verge of collapse. He'd only used his main Gekyo Sharingan a few times, and his chakra was low. Having summoned Amaterasu and Susanoo, Fugaku had essentially pulled out all his cards. But how could the patriarch of the Uchiha clan lose to a brat from the Hyuga clan? And a brat who had slaughtered the entire Uchiha clan? Fugaku was furious. Desperately, he used up all his chakra and continued to activate his main Gekyo Sharingan. Swish! This time, Fugaku's Susanoo wasn't in its original form, but a skull. Chiba, let me show you the power of a god. Fugaku felt he had it back. Chiba blinked. That's it, let me show you what a true god is. With a thought, the golden cudgel appeared in his hand. At the same time, dark clouds gathered over the horizon, and even the faint sound of thunder could be heard. Did you know that the golden cudgel is a conductor? Chiba held the cudgel in one hand, causing it to grow larger and larger with his mind. He looked up at the thunder clouds he had summoned and smiled faintly. Boom! 10,000 thunders. As Chiba finished his words, countless bolts of lightning struck down, all converging on the golden cudgel. Thunderbolt golden cudgel. Chiba gripped the cudgel tightly and swung it fiercely. The immense force of the cudgel, combined with the overwhelming pressure of the 10,000 thunders, would surely annihilate him with this blow. Bang! Fugaku flew out like a kite with its string cut, a long stream of blood spurting out. His Susanoo had completely vanished. Because of this, he had saved his life. Well, half. Fugaku stumbled to his feet, his face ashen. That damned Hyuga brat. Fugaku was so furious that he couldn't cough up any blood. After a few violent coughs, a deep fear etched across his eyes. No, he couldn't fight Chiba anymore, he would die. Someone who couldn't even withstand the main Gekyo. Fugaku panicked. But he refused to give up. How could he? How could he let Chiba go? A thought suddenly struck him. Gazing at the distance Chiba had flung him, Fugaku took off, his arms and legs flailing. If he couldn't kill Chiba, could he still kill Hinata? He had to make Chiba pay. Inside the room, Mikado hugged Hinata tightly, her whole body trembling. Please, Izumi must find Chiba. That was her last hope. Her Adam's apple twitched, and Mikado was so nervous she couldn't speak. Sister, you look sick. Hinata looked up, her eyes fixed on Mikado with concern. Mikado's face was pale, a sickly paleness. I'm fine, bang. Suddenly, the door to their house was violently flung open. Mikado was delighted, thinking it was Chiba. She dropped Hinata and ran out, only to freeze in her tracks. It wasn't Chiba, but Fugaku, covered in blood. Where's that brat, that Hyuga brat? Fugaku, at that moment, was a complete and utter demon. Answer me, he grabbed Mikado's neck, using all his strength. Let her go. Chapter 61 Hidden Arrow. Mikado shuddered violently. It was Hinata. Behind her, Hinata trembled, her face pale, and she shouted at Fugaku. Despite her fear, Hinata still adopted a soft fist stance and aimed it at Fugaku. Seeing this, Fugaku's face twitched wildly, his face furious. You Hyuga family, don't you take me seriously? Chiba beating him up was fine, but why would a little Hinata go against him? Fugaku flew into a rage, slamming Mikado against the wall with a mighty swing of his hand. He held the knife, the tip of the blade sparking on the floor. With the Uchiha gun, the Hyuga family won't have a good time either. Fugaku lunged at Hinata. However, a tremendous force restrained him. Fugaku looked down in disbelief. Mikado's hand was gripping his trouser leg tightly, the veins on the back of her hand bulging. Why was even Mikado trying to stop him? Everyone was against him. Everyone deserves to die. His features contorted, Fugaku raised his knife and pointed it at Mikado. Die? All of you. The blood-stained tip of the knife shone brightly in Mikado's eyes. She wasn't afraid, but instead, she burst into boundless courage. Fugaku must not harm Hinata. This was Mikado's single conviction. The blade swung back, and Mikado could almost feel the cool touch of the steel. Reflexively, she closed her eyes. Bang! Suddenly, a loud crash echoed, but the expected death didn't come. Mikado opened her eyes in surprise. Chiba, panting, stood before her. At the end of the corridor, Uchiha Fugaku lay embedded in the shattered wall, his life or death uncertain. Chiba, Hinata and Mikado, one in front and one behind, hugged Chiba, both sobbing. Chiba's mouth twitched slightly, a hint of pain visible on his face. But he concealed it well, calmly hugging them both. It's okay, I'm here, I'll take you away. At the same time, Izumi curled herself up into a ball and hid in the quilt. Their family were all ordinary Uchiha, they did not participate in Fugaku's rebellion, they would not be killed by Chiba today, and they would not be troubled by Konoha in the future. Thinking of this, Izumi felt a little relieved. She stuck her head out, and unexpectedly, she met a scarlet eye, one hidden behind the mask. Who? Izumi was startled and subconsciously called for help. It's useless, Uchiha Izumi, I've set up a barrier around this room, no one will come to save you, you'd better be honest and come with me. The masked man laughed, his single eye full of pride. I won't go with you. Izumi took out a kunai from under the pillow, and was met with the masked man's ruthless ridicule. Little girl, save your energy in front of me. By the way, what magical power do you have that could make Itachi and Chiba both be so captivated by you? Capturing you means I can capture two geniuses. What a bargain, the masked man muttered to himself, leaving Izumi fuming with shame and indignation. Nonsense, Chiba and I are just good friends, the masked man laughed. Good friends don't cry and cling to each other, and certainly not spend all day together, the masked man said slowly, and Izumi was startled. This guy is following me. What on earth does he want? Izumi couldn't help but worry. However, the masked man exuded a dangerous aura. If he captured her, there would be no good outcome. Izumi's gaze fixed, and just as she was about to make a move, the masked man suddenly rushed over. Little girl. Let me teach you the first lesson of becoming a ninja. Don't reveal your murderous intent in front of a strong person. Bang. After the joke, the masked man punched Izumi in the stomach. Izumi rolled her eyes and fainted, unaware of what had happened. Lifting Izumi onto his shoulders, the masked man stood at the windowsill and leaped down. What would Chiba and Itachi do now that they knew Izumi had been abducted? Things were about to get interesting. On the street, Chiba, carrying Mikado and Hinata, ran towards Izumi's home. Since he'd decided to take Mikado with him, he couldn't abandon Izumi. That's what Chiba thought. But what Chiba didn't expect was that just as he was about to reach Izumi, 10 figures suddenly appeared before him. 10 masked figures. Chiba stopped abruptly, his breath catching. Anbu, or the root? Chiba asked after settling Mikado and Hinata. No one answered him. Oh, forget it, wait until you're dead, and I'll pry your mouths open and see, Chiba grinned. He spoke provocatively, but alarm bells were ringing within him. The annihilation of his clan, coupled with the battle with Fugaku, had left him with very little strength. Besides, his ribs ached slightly, probably from the recoil from the attack on Susanoo. The strongest defense, that's no joke. If he saw correctly, the moment the thunderbolt cudgel struck Fugaku, Fugaku must have forcibly summoned a higher-level Susanoo, but his attack simply prevented it from fully forming. He wondered if his internal organs were damaged. Chiba gritted his teeth, sensing something was amiss. The 10 men facing him wouldn't care if he was injured. While Chiba was pondering, the Konoha men moved. Earth-style, earth-flowing river, a vast swamp appeared beneath Chiba's feet. His lightning armor appeared, rendering him immune to earth-style. Just then, water-style, great waterfall, Chiba was startled. So they were trying to trick him into using his lightning power. With a thought, he summoned the purple gold gourd and absorbed all the water. The lightning armor reappeared, and Chiba instantly appeared under the noses of the two ninjas who had attacked him. Just as he was about to launch a whip kick, the other ninjas surrounded him, and 8 steel swords slashed down at Chiba's head. Chiba remained unmoved. Bang! The lightning armor was enough. It wasn't over yet. Fire style, Phoenix flower technique, wind style, vacuum wave, another combination of moves. Fireworks rained down from the sky, slamming into Chiba. Chiba maintained his lightning armor and took the blow head-on. When the fireworks faded, the lightning armor's glow dimmed considerably. Things were getting tricky. Earth style, clay falling from the sky, secret technique, insect explosion. Damn, are there still people from the Aburim clan? Chiba's face darkened. He had almost worn out a purple gold gourd. Fortunately, the system didn't limit the number of uses. Before Chiba could open the purple gold gourd, a flash of blade grazed his wrist. Chiba dodged the attack, but the purple gold gourd fell to the ground. Damn it! The black bugs were overwhelming, and Kayana didn't know if he could stop them with his current thunder armor. At the critical moment, return to the sky. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Zio. With Terrors, 2 blue chakra barriers ignited. Hyuga Hayashi and Hisashi Hayashi, using their celestial powers, stood before Chiba. Chiba was stunned. The black insect barrier shattered a crack, and Hayashi rushed forward, striking with all his might. One ninja was sent flying. Then, with the 8 trigram 64 palms, he unleashed a single blow upon the remaining ninja, instantly rendering them incapacitated. That was the Hyuga clan leader. Hayashi's strength was already considerable, and his decisive and ruthless strikes caught the enemy completely off guard. Thunderbird, Chiba seized the opportunity to unleash his Thunderbird, blasting the assassins to dust. A whiff of scorched earth filled the air. Hyuga Hayashi frowned deeply, and Hayashi's expression was equally grim. The mask spoke volumes. These were all sent by Konoha's higher-ranking officials. Rage simmered in Hayashi's chest, hidden but unspoken. Had the third Hokage lost even the last bit of his dignity? He'd let Chiba kill the Uchiha, but he was planning to attack him from behind. Is this how Konoha treats its heroes? Chiba is still a Hyuga man after all. If Hisashi hadn't reminded him not to let anything happen to Chiba, the two brothers would have followed. Brother, Hisashi said, worry etched in his eyes. Hayashi let out a long breath and turned, just in time to see Chiba stumble and lose his balance. Chiba, Mikoto exclaimed, running forward to steady him. Hayashi's eyes narrowed slightly. Fugaku's wife? Chiba spoke first, his Byakugan opening. She has nothing to do with the Uchiha? Chiba said hoarsely, his face pale. It seemed he had really overexerted himself. A wry smile played on Chiba's lips. He suppressed a weakness within him and forced himself to stand before Hinata. I'm sorry, Hinata, we're parting ways before I even teach you anything. Hinata's pupils trembled deeply, and Chiba rubbed her head with his usual gentleness. Follow Hayashi-sama, go back, sweetheart. Chiba took Hinata's hand and handed her to Hayashi. I destroyed the Uchiha clan, and I killed the Anbu members. None of this has anything to do with the Hyuga clan, no matter how the third Hokage blames me. Please, clan leader, firmly declare that I did it alone. Protect the Hyuga clan, protect Hinata. The Uchiha clan's decline is a good time for the Hyuga clan to rise. Chiba's words were startling. It was clear he was trying to take all the responsibility on himself. Chiba, you? Hayashi couldn't help but persuade him. He didn't finish his words. I will leave the village. That way, the third Hokage will be helpless. And with 2 geniuses leaving in succession, how will the rest of the village view him? A playful smile played at the corner of Chiba's mouth. Hayashi swallowed the rest of his words. The determination and forbearance on Chiba's face didn't seem fake. Thinking about it carefully, what Chiba said was the best solution at the moment. Hyuga Hayashi slowly closed his eyes. Chiba, take care, the Hyuga clan will always support you. With these words, Chiba's eyes suddenly softened. Thank you. In fact, another reason why Chiba left Konoha was that he had to take Mikoto with him. Konoha would never let her go. Even if it was to make an example of someone, they would start with the wife of the former head of the Uchiha clan. Half leaning on Mikoto, Chiba couldn't help but think. After easily dealing with Konoha's guards, he and Mikado went into the dense forest outside the village and disappeared. The two walked aimlessly, and Chiba's face became paler and paler. Mikado glanced at him from time to time, knowing that she couldn't delay any longer. Gritting her teeth, Mikado carried Chiba to a cave. "Mikado? You, don't move," Mikado shouted softly, pressing her bare hands on Chiba's chest to stop him from getting up. Then, Mikado suddenly closed her eyes and tore off Chiba's clothes. Hiss. Chiba's eyes widened. "Good guy. Is this a big deal?" In the wilderness, a single man and a single woman, the woman on top. But her body simply couldn't handle it. Chiba was practically reaching for her anti-aging elixir. "What are you thinking?" Mikado, sensing Chiba's impatience, poked her finger against his forehead. "I'm trying to heal you. Why don't move." "I'm not moving, I'm only moving where I should." "Why you're such a brat." Mikado couldn't argue with Chiba. Blushing, she shut up, green chakra radiating from her palms. "Medical ninjutsu. You know medical ninjutsu? Itachi was always getting hurt when he was little, so I learned it just for him." Then, Mikado's eyes darkened, and she stopped talking. Later, she healed herself. Later, even her injuries didn't matter to her. But Chiba did. Chiba knew what Mikado was hesitating to say. He gently grasped Mikado's hand. Her fingertips trembled, and Mikado panicked and lowered her head, not daring to look at Chiba. "Mikado, nay, that's all in the past. Fugaku will never bully you again. You're free." Her heart trembled. With just one sentence, Mikado's eyes filled with tears. Unconsciously, she grasped Chiba's hand. "Thank you so much, Chiba. Without you, I don't know what I would do." Chiba extended a finger and pressed it to Mikado's lips. "This is what I should do, Mikado." Nay, Mikado was stunned. Chiba's actions were too ambiguous, his words too ambiguous. She lowered her eyes. "Itachi is so lucky to have a friend like you, Chiba." So, Mikado thought he did all this for Itachi, right? Chiba was speechless, but helpless. One day, he stared at Mikado's profile, his eyes saying it all. Late at night. Hey, uncle, are you saying that kid is really here, Konoha's genius, hiding in a shabby cave? That's hilarious, uncle, shut up." Two figures approached leisurely. One wore a hood resembling gray and white rags, the lower half of his face hidden beneath a black mask, completely concealing him. The other carried a massive, three-section scarlet scythe. They both wore black windbreakers with red clouds. Murderous intent was everywhere. Inside the cave, Chiba and Mikado cuddled together, sleeping in each other's arms. Suddenly, Byakugan, Chiba activated his Byakugan, sensing two extremely dangerous auras. Using his Byakugan's insight, he learned their identities, hidden in Kakuzu. Damn it, Abrito was really going to take advantage of his weakness. Chiba's teeth itched with hatred. Now, they were blocking the cave entrance. Escape was a sure thing. Chiba stared. Feeling his renewed strength, he made up his mind. Since he couldn't escape, he'd better fight. Chiba packed up and calmly appeared before the immortal duo. "Are you here to see me?" Chiba asked knowingly. "Haha, arrogant brats," Kakuzu said, and immediately entered combat mode. A figure observed all this from the shadows. In the tense atmosphere, no one noticed him. Chapter 63 Shuriken from 800 miles away. "Hey, uncle, let me try my hand first." Hidden held his scythe horizontally, blocking Kakuzu's advance. He licked the corner of his mouth, his tongue darting out, showing his genuine interest in Chiba, the supposed genius of Konoha. "Hurry up," Kakuzu frowned, a bit annoyed, but still stepped back, making room for Hidden. "I still have to earn the bounty for the next mission," he said impatiently. "Hey, I won't hold you up, uncle," Hidden said, charging towards Chiba. "Thunder armor," Chiba roared, grabbing Mikado with one hand and suddenly retreating. "Mikado's sister, this guy's ability is immortality. As long as his blade is stained with the enemy's blood, he can kill them through self-harm," Chiba explained to Mikado as he retreated. "So, when the fight starts, you must protect yourself." In reality, with the thunder armor, Chiba was completely immune to Hidden's attacks. But he was worried about Mikado. Mikado was defenseless against the immortal duo. What if Hidden, stained with Mikado's blood, activated the evil god ritual? This wasn't the Nara family's zoo, nor were there tons of explosive tags. Chiba's eyes fixed, his expression heavy. Bang! He punched Hidden away, then immediately formed a hand seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu, a clone appeared, and Chiba ordered him to flee with Mikado. Fortunately, Kakuzu hadn't attacked yet, otherwise, Mikado would have been killed. Chiba gritted his teeth and was about to strike back when an arm covered in black tentacles suddenly attacked and smashed into his clone. Bang! Chiba's shadow clone disintegrated into white smoke, and the immense force sent Mikado flying to the ground. Mikado, Chiba exclaimed. Kid, now is not the time to be distracted. Hidden had suddenly caught up and delivered a powerful kick to Chiba's stomach. Chiba couldn't dodge and rolled several times on the ground before landing beside Mikado. He immediately ran to help Mikado up and check her injuries. She was fine. Chiba breathed a sigh of relief. Kid, I was just trying to teach you a lesson. You're so arrogant. Hidden sauntered over, a look of disdain on his face. Konoha's genius was just that. Kakuzu tugged at his collar, his voice low. We're from an organization called Akatsuki. Our boss thinks you're useful and wants to invite you to join. As for me, I urge you to be sensible and come back with us, or you'll end up with more than just a kick. Hidden followed Kakuzu's words. With a crackling sound of wind, Hidden brandished his scythe, the blade pointed at Chiba. The pressure was overwhelming. Chiba clenched Mikado's hand, unmoved. You're already a Konoha traitor. If you don't join us, how long do you think you can escape with your girlfriend? Kakuzu spoke, his voice losing patience. Girlfriend? Chiba was stunned, looking at Mikado with a half-smile. Mikado's face flushed, and she glared at Chiba. That look seemed to say, it's time to stop thinking about nonsense. Chiba grinned. Finally, someone had noticed his relationship with Mikado. Hey, kid, stop flirting. Answer our questions. Seeing Chiba and Mikado's affectionate interactions, Hidden was furious and shouted, his scythe moving closer. Frowning slightly, Chiba glared back at Hidden with the same annoyance. Akatsuki, is he that powerful? I haven't heard of him. You, don't waste your time talking to him. Just cripple him and take him back. Kakuzu's patience was completely worn out. The earth's wrath erupted. And the disgusting black tentacles returned. Run! Chiba pushed Mikado aside, and thunder roared. Thunderbolt! Kakuzu's arm was sent flying. Chiba then leaped up. Don't worry about that mindless, violent man, Hidden. Kakuzu is the real trouble. Without hesitation, Chiba conjured a spear of lightning, pinning Kakuzu to the tree. In the blink of an eye, Kakuzu and Hidden were stunned. Holy crap, kid, you're in big trouble, Hidden yelled. This guy had actually destroyed Kakuzu's heart. It's over, it's over. The uncle is going crazy. Hidden, a mixture of fear and excitement, watched Chiba with a playful air. Chiba knew he had destroyed Kakuzu's heart. Otherwise, why would he attack? Why did he have to wait until Kakuzu used 5 hearts and ninjutsu like he was free? He's not a fool. In the ruins, Kakuzu's eyes were red. You, bastard, I'm a ninja who fought against the first Hokage. How dare you do this to me? Chiba sneered. Speaking of which, did you throw a shuriken at the first from 800 miles away, old man? Chiba taunted nonchalantly. Hidden, how dare he? This time, Hidden looked at Chiba with a hint of awe. Brave young man. At this moment, there was a cracking sound, and Kakuzu tore off his clothes, revealing a body that looked like a patchwork monster. Oops. Chiba thought to himself that it was not good. We can't wait for Kakuzu to release the other hearts. Chiba stood up and wanted to fight. Kid, no one is allowed to disturb the uncle when he transforms. Hidden stood in front of Chiba. My opponent is not you, Chiba said calmly. With a command, the golden cudgel appeared in his hand. Golden cudgel, grow bigger. Chiba held the golden cudgel in one hand and stabbed it at Kakuzu's other heart. It would be better to crush all of Kakuzu's hearts. The golden cudgel's transformation was incredibly rapid, almost instantaneous. It crushed Hidden and Kakuzu like a mountain. They flew backwards, the cudgel still growing. Towering trees fell one after another, leaving the forest in shambles. Dust billowed. Kakuzu, all 5 of his lives must be gone, right? Chiba retracted the cudgel, his breathing growing heavier. For a long moment, no sound from Hidden or Kakuzu reached the forest. Chiba breathed a sigh of relief. Mikado, where are you? Mikado's sister. As he unleashed the thunderbolt, he took the opportunity to create another shadow clone, grabbing Mikado and running. Wait, a shadow clone? Chiba raised an eyebrow, formed a seal with one hand, and dispelled the shadow clone technique. The clone's vision and perception instantly transmitted to his mind, giving him a grasp of Mikado's location. Running quickly, Chiba found Mikado trembling behind the bushes. Misaki-ne, Misaki suddenly raised her eyes and met Chiba's delighted eyes. The next second, Misaki's pupils suddenly shrank. Chiba, be careful, wind style, suppression, a violent shockwave rushed towards the two of them. Chiba twisted her waist and stood in front of Misaki. Puff. Chapter 64 Injured. Chiba, blood sprayed everywhere, and Mikado was horrified. Chiba had blocked the blow for her. Indigo lightning armor flashed. Aside from the initial attack, Chiba hadn't sustained much damage. But even those few wounds were enough to take his toll. Unmindful of the numerous cuts and lacerations, Chiba's lips curled into a wry smile. It seems he's still missing a heart. After his wind release, Kakuzu's body was already tattered, only his wind release heart still sustaining him. You must die today, Kakuzu grimaced, his mouth full of blood. Damn it. Do you know how much 4 hearts cost? Kakuzu was nearly about to spit out a mouthful of blood. The wind pressure gradually dissipated, and Chiba faced the enraged Kakuzu, unfazed. I can shatter all 4 of your hearts with one strike. What do you have to fight me? Chiba said in a deep voice, hitting the nail on the head. Kakuzu's eyes narrowed, and a tremor fluttered. In the blink of an eye, the strange stick reappeared in Chiba's hand. Kakuzu subconsciously took a half step back. What the hell was that thing? Alarm bells rang in his heart, and he actually had the thought of retreating. Old man, you've survived this long, you must be very good at hiding. Right, I'm hiding, Chiba kindly reminded him. Kakuzu's face instantly turned extremely ugly. But Chiba was right. His Adam's apple slid, and Kakuzu was now in a dilemma. Old man, shut up, Kakuzu roared, his mouth twitching wildly. Chiba shrugged. Stitched monster, Kakuzu. Besides, Hidden should have been crushed into pulp by me. Don't you need to sew him up? What if your organization sends you another guy who's easy to kill? How annoying it would be, Chiba narrated slowly, looking up at Kakuzu's expression. Sure enough, he was wavering. There was silence, but the atmosphere was no longer so solemn. Half a minute later. Kid, you're lucky this time, you'll have to pay this back sooner or later. With these harsh words, Kakuzu turned and walked off, heading for Hidden. Silence returned to the forest, and a ray of dawn appeared on the horizon. Only after Kakuzu's figure completely disappeared did Chiba remove his lightning armor and plop down on the ground. Hiss. That wind-style thing really hurts. It stung, like hundreds of insects biting him. It was a lucky he activated his defense right away, or he would have been chopped to pieces. No wonder the Rasengan looks so small, it's so powerful. Chiba grimaced in pain, and Mikado rushed over, her eyes full of panic. Are you okay? Mikado looked Chiba up and down, unsure where to begin. There were so many wounds, one after another, it looked horrible. Tears welled up in her eyes. Heartbroken, Chiba reached out to touch Mikado's cheek, wiping away the tears. It's okay, they're just superficial wounds, we shouldn't stay here for long. Who knows if that brainless guy, Hidden, will come after us. Let's go. Chiba pulled Mikado up and fled deeper into the forest. They found themselves in another cave. Chiba leaned against the wall, Mikado's hand on his chest, tending to his wounds. So soft, oh no, so nice. Chiba's eyes half-lidded, a faint smile playing on his lips. What are you thinking about? Mikado glanced up from time to time to catch Chiba's eye, and the hint of his smile certainly didn't escape her. I'm thinking about you, Chiba said bluntly. Mikado remained expressionless, a blush tinging the tips of her ears. Chiba's gaze flickered subtly over Mikado's ears, a silent smile. A large hand enveloped her. Mikado exclaimed. What are you doing? Sleeping, Chiba said naturally. Sleeping speeds up the body's healing process, wouldn't you know that, Mikado? Chiba said seriously. A hint of unnaturalness flashed across Mikado's face. That being said, but, sleeping together and hugging each other. Mikado gritted her teeth, pushing Chiba's arm without moving. Chiba's even and gentle breathing rang in her ears, as if he had fallen asleep. Mikado paused, not wanting to disturb Chiba. Oh, he's just a 12-year-old child, just think of him hugging Sasuke. Mikado consoled herself. Thinking of Sasuke, her heart tightened again. Fugaku, is he dead or not? If Fugaku isn't dead, would he take his anger out on Sasuke? Thinking of everything she had endured, Mikado's eyes suddenly darkened. At this moment, Chiba's hand moved in his sleep, hugging her tighter. Mikado's heart tightened. She carefully opened her eyes, and saw Chiba's face with its angular edges. Still more childish. Little brat, yet so smart. Unconsciously, Mikado scrutinized Chiba's sleeping face, her lips curled up, never letting it fall. Uncontrollably, she clung to Chiba's embrace, like a person in the snow nearing a bonfire, like a drowning man grasping for a last paddle. If life could continue like this, it wouldn't be so bad. Konoha. In a dark prison cell. Rats scurried about, and the floor was caked with blood from who knows where. Smelly, damp, and confined. This was Fugaku's summary of his surroundings. Glancing to the left and right, his hands were bound in a cross-like arrangement, 2 wrist-thick nails driven into his palms, immobilizing him. Pain? He had long since forgotten what pain was. That day, when Chiba kicked him away and he failed to kill Hinata, his heart had died with it. Squeak, the door opened a crack, and footsteps echoed. Uchiha, Fugaku, a familiar voice. Fugaku snorted. It's you, after all, Danzo. The two faced each other, Fugaku's face calm, while Danzo's fury clung to him. It was as if Danzo was the one being held captive. Fugaku, I advise you to remove the barrier in your eye. Danzo gritted his teeth, the beast in his eyes eager to devour Fugaku whole. His men had finally brought the unconscious Fugaku back and revived him, all for his eyes. But who knew that Fugaku had placed a barrier in his eye that would explode if removed? Danzo, enraged, grabbed Fugaku's chin. Fugaku was forced to look up, gazing at him. What a pathetic man. Fugaku suddenly thought. Danzo, this man, was exactly like him. Ambitious, yet unsuccessful. Yet, he had what Danzo coveted, the Sharingan. Fugaku sneered. Danzo, do you think I don't know how Shisu died? Danzo's fingers suddenly exerted force, squeezing Fugaku's face out of shape. You know what? You are in my hands. Fugaku said nothing, as if he was brewing something. Ahem, he spat on Danzo's face. Chapter 65 Undercurrent. He flew into rage. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Danzo growled, wiping the dirt from his face with his hand. Disgusting. Disgusting. Danzo was enraged, exerting all his strength, so much so that it looked like he could crush Fugaku's skull. Fugaku choked, his eyes unwavering. You really don't dare to kill me. Fugaku's eyes said. Danzo understood. It took Danzo a minute to grit his teeth, exert force, and then release his grip. In that minute, he quickly adjusted his composure, as if nothing had happened. Danzo exhaled heavily. Fugaku's face was bruised. Don't try to provoke me. I won't kill you. You'd better use your strength to deal with Chiba. He escaped the village. Oh, yes, and took your wife Mikado with him, Danzo said lightly, turning and walking away. Suddenly, a violent struggle sounded behind him. What did you say? Mikado went with Chiba. That bitch, I should have killed her first, and Chiba. I'm going to kill Chiba, Fugaku roared frantically behind Danzo. Sure enough, only the word Chiba could touch this mad dog's nerves. He hadn't expected Fugaku's reaction to be so strong. Fugaku, I want to see how long you can hold out. Before the door closed, a sinister smile curled Danzo's lips. Konoha village. The years were peaceful, the sun shining brightly. A few days ago, Konoha announced that Hyuga Chiba had become a traitor, but now few cared. A desolate atmosphere took over the Hyuga clan's courtyard. Hyuga Hayashi stood outside Hinata's room, his hand raised several times, but he never let it go. Hinata hadn't left the house since Chiba's departure. Crying echoed from the room day and night. Hinata Hayashi frowned. He only had 2 daughters, and it would be a lie to say he wasn't heartbroken. If he didn't care about Hinata, why would he let Chiba be her teacher? Thinking of Chiba, Hayashi's face darkened even more. The Hyuga family had lost a genius in vain. That night, the 3rd Hokage immediately announced Chiba's betrayal, as if he had been prepared. Surely, that old fox would hold the Hyuga clan responsible for this? With the Uchiha clan nearly wiped out, who would be next? Hayashi's gaze suddenly hardened, and with determination, he knocked on Hinata's door. Hinata, come out and train. Father, I don't want to train, Hinata muttered. Hayashi felt sorry for her, but remained firm. No, training cannot be neglected for a single day, or you'll have to practice 10 or 100 days to make up for it. But father, do you want Chiba to look down on you? Silence fell. A long silence fell, Hinata's door remaining firmly shut. Hayashi sighed imperceptibly. He didn't want to do this, but the Hyuga clan couldn't wait any longer. Hinata couldn't wait any longer either. Hinata, Hayashi growled. You've seen Chiba's strength? If you don't redouble your training, what right do you have to stand by his side? He's a traitor to Konoha. If Konoha ever decides to deal with him, how will you protect him? Do you want to hide behind Chiba like you did that day? Hayashi was too cruel. Didn't he know these words would hurt Hinata? Still, there was no movement in the room, even the crying had stopped. Hayashi's heart skipped a beat, and a rare look of panic crossed his face. Could it be that Hinata was hurt? He reached for the door, but it opened from the inside first. Hinata stood upright before Hayashi, her face stained with tears. Fortunately, she was no longer crying, her tears had stopped. Unlike before, the timidity on her face was gone, replaced by resolute determination. Father, from today on, please train me twice as hard, please. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, the smell of cigarette smoke had become pungent since who knows when, though it hadn't been so before. Kuronagi frowned, peering through the smoke at the third Hokage's creased face, and explained her purpose. Hokage-sama, I'm applying to join the Anbu. Oh, why? The third Hokage asked with a smile. Kuronagi no longer felt friendly, but only disgusted. Pretend. Keep pretending. Kuronagi clenched her fists, suppressing the rage within. Why join the Anbu? To find Chiba, of course. Even if it meant searching through countless dangerous missions like finding a needle in a haystack, she had to find Chiba. That bastard, he knew how to run away with Uchiha Mikado, but couldn't he take her with him? The next time they met, she would tear the flesh off Chiba's waist. God knows how long she cried. Memories flooded her mind, and Kuronagi recalled many moments with Chiba, nearly bursting into tears. She held them back. Because I want to become stronger, I want to protect the village. Kuronagi's lies were readily uttered. These two excuses were the same, but they never failed, weren't they? Kuronagi faced the Sandai calmly. If he didn't agree, she wouldn't mind running to the Hokage's office every day. However, to her surprise, the Sandai actually agreed. Not bad, a good child with a will of fire, Haru, the Sandai called out, and a masked figure instantly appeared, standing between Kuronagi and the Sandai. Anbu. The Sandai put down his pipe. From now on, Kuronagi will be in your care, teach her well, understand? Only Haru saw the dark, inscrutable look beneath the Sandai's bamboo hat. Yes. Outside the village, the sound of blasting talismans echoed continuously. A graceful figure streaked through the dense forest, trailing a swarm of followers. Hurry. It's her. She's escaped the village, she killed both guards. Who is she? Stop talking nonsense. Give chase. A team of Konoha ninjas followed the woman before them, not willing to let their guard down. Samui glanced back, filled with hatred for Chiba. Damn it, he should have told her he was going to defect. She wished she could have taken Chiba back to Kumogakure. Such a genius. No, she wasn't taking him back because she admired his abilities, she simply wanted to torture him. Fire style, great fireball, a surging heat wave interrupted Samui's thoughts. She quickly conjured a lightning clone, dodging the blow. How is it? Is she dead? Did you see the body? Tricking Samui's lightning clone, the Konoha ninjas descended to investigate. Now. Cloud flow, instant, puff, a flash of the blade, and the head fell to the ground. Chapter 66, Blood Mist Town. Samui calmly sheathed her blade, her cold demeanor a stark contrast to her usual demeanor around Chiba. Don't forget, she's an elite Jonin from the hidden Cloud Village. What else do these little minions want to do to her? Samui snorted. She glanced around, and faintly heard more footsteps approaching from the direction of Konoha. No, there's no time to lose. We must return to the hidden Cloud Village as soon as possible. Before leaving, Samui cast one last glance toward Konoha. Chiba, we'll deal with your humiliation later. Samui gritted her teeth in resentment, leaped, and disappeared into the dense forest. A week later, at the border of an unnamed small country, two figures leisurely approached. One looked no more than a teenager, the other an adult woman. They looked like siblings, but the occasional glances they exchanged held a hint of ambiguity. Chiba, where are we going? Mikado asked, casually tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I don't know, Chiba said lazily. Anywhere except Konoha, as long as Sister Mikado is with you. Chiba changed the subject, teasing Mikado. Mikado had long since grown accustomed to Chiba's smooth talk these days. She glared at him, then said nothing more. Indeed, where they went wasn't important, what mattered was leaving Fugaku. The farther the better. Suddenly, a familiar scent filled the air. Chiba's eyes narrowed, then he used his Byakugan. Oh, it was him. Come out, Chiba said, shielding Mikado behind him and gazing at the boulder ahead. As he finished speaking, a soft chuckle emanated from behind the boulder, and then a man wearing a strange mask and bizarre clothing slowly emerged. Black with a red background. The same man who had come to kill Chiba that day. Mikado's heart suddenly tightened, and she instinctively grasped Chiba's hand. Chiba took it back, taking advantage of it without hesitation. Don't be afraid, Chiba said softly, soothing. This person won't attack us. Your injury, Mikado frowned in worry. Don't worry, Sister Mikado, with your meticulous care, my injury has healed long ago. During this period, Chiba didn't look like she was defecting, she was just on vacation. She held Mikado's hand whenever she had something to do, and clung to Mikado's arms when she slept. Could they take a bath together next? Chiba was daydreaming, and the masked man couldn't stand it anymore. Hey, can you restrain yourself in front of me, an Uchiha senior? Isn't this person Itachi's mother? Aren't you and Itachi friends? You and her, the single eye showed inquiry and ill intentions. Mikado's face turned pale. The masked man's words hit the nail on the head. Mikado subconsciously tried to break free from Chiba's hand. He didn't move at all. Chiba even held it tighter. I tell you, I already exposed you last time, why are you still pretending to be the ancestor of the Uchiha clan? And, I'll say it again, I won't join Akatsuki, I'm not interested, Chiba said flatly. Obito had only approached him about joining Akatsuki. Chiba thought, and rejected him without hesitation. However, Obito smiled. You, boy, you have a connection with the Uchiha clan, the masked man said slowly, his words laced with meaning. Itachi, Mikado, oh yeah, and Izumi. What's your relationship with Izumi, Chiba? Chiba's eyes darkened, and a lightning spear immediately appeared in his hand. What did you do to Izumi? Chiba asked hoarsely, like a beast poised for action. Nothing. The masked man shrugged. I just took her back to the Hidden Mist village. Want to take her back? Then come to the Hidden Mist village. Ha 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 ha. Swish. The lightning spear pierced the masked man's chest, piercing him directly. The masked man was unharmed. Kamui. Chiba stared into the void above the masked man's chest, his expression growing more serious. Chiba, I'll wait for you. With that, a vortex of spatial turbulence gradually formed around the masked man's right eye, and his body gradually vanished. Chiba wasn't surprised, but Mikado looked as if she'd seen a ghost. Chiba, why did he disappear? Chiba patiently patted the back of Mikado's hand. It's just a pretentious space-time ninjutsu. That night, Chiba lay on his back in the inn, Mikado beside him. But Chiba had no time for imagination. Izumi had been captured by Obito, and was still in Konoha. Thinking of Obito's words, Chiba felt a headache. Although he'd considered this escape a relaxing trip, Konoha wasn't part of his plans. Who would go to a place where it rained every day and accidents kept happening? Besides, Konoha was under full martial law, and news of the village in Naruto was scarce. Chiba sighed, truly not wanting to get involved in this mess. But, that's Izumi, Itachi's girlfriend. Itachi is one of Chiba's few friends, and he entrusted Izumi to him before he left. You should be loyal to the person who entrusted you with the task. You can't just take care of Mikado, right? Chiba sighed and made up his mind. Humph, if I don't get this account back from Itachi, I have to get it back from Mikado. While thinking, Chiba turned around and put his arms around Mikado's waist. Mikado was sleeping so soundly that she didn't notice at all. His face then buried in Mikado's body. So big, so soft, so fragrant. It's another beautiful night. A good night's dream. The next morning, Chiba told Mikado about his decision, and Mikado supported him without hesitation. To be on the safe side, Chiba performed a transformation technique and turned himself into a middle-aged uncle, so that he looked more compatible with Mikado. Looking at Mikado, who had been turned into an ordinary wife by him, Chiba was itching to make a move. He had no choice but to make a move. Beneath the skin of a middle-aged man, he still possessed the body of a 12-year-old. Chiba felt like crying, his heart aching with frustration. Now that he wasn't in Konoha, he could always use the rejuvenating pill, right? Chiba clenched his fists, his eyes lighting up. As for explaining to Mikado, Mikado trusted him, didn't she? Even if he made up a random excuse, Mikado would probably believe it, right? His throat tightened. Chiba silently stared at Mikado's beautiful back. The rejuvenating pill appeared in his hand. Even if he didn't succeed, he had to become a man. Chiba mustered his courage, and just as he was about to put the rejuvenating pill into his mouth, Mikado turned back, meeting his lustful eyes. And his hand frozen in midair. "What are you looking at?" Chiba's gaze was so intense that Mikado couldn't help but ask. A drop of cold sweat ran down Chiba's forehead. Chiba was speechless. Suddenly, a beautiful figure appeared in his sight. An idea flashed in his mind. "I saw someone I know," Chiba said seriously. Chapter 67 Spoiler. "Who?" Mikado asked, following Chiba's line of sight. It was a beautiful lady with fair skin. Her hair was divided into two parts, green and brown, from top to bottom, and she looked very wild. But why was she wearing a fur protector from the Sand Village? Did Chiba know anyone from Sand Village? Mikado looked at Chiba suspiciously, and Chiba returned her determined look. "This is Ryukang. The beautiful lady from Sand Village, oh no, the great hero." Before he and Mikado could explain, Chiba suddenly sensed two unusual auras. Using his Byakugan to look at a distance behind Ryukang, Chiba discovered two sneaky figures. One was carrying a big sword, and the other was wearing a pure white mask with red edges. Zabuza and Haku. Oh my god, how did they meet each other? Chiba was shocked, and pulled Mikado into hiding, observing everything in the dark. It seemed that Zabuza and Haku were following Ryukang. Why? Chiba was puzzled. This road leads to the Hidden Mist Village. Chiba's eyes narrowed, a thought coming to mind. Could this be the mission that led to Yakira's death? In the original storyline, Yakira was tricked into the Hidden Mist Village by the fourth Kazekage, Raza, and ultimately killed by a hidden mist ninja disguised as an ally. A pawn of the village, a tragic hero. Chiba couldn't help but look at Yakira again. How beautiful, ahem, such a powerful ninja. How could he die in vain? We were all going to the Hidden Mist Village anyway, so why not lend a hand? Chiba acted immediately, emerging from the shadows with Mikado in hand, leisurely following Zabuza and the others. "Chiba, didn't you say that was someone you knew? Why didn't you go say hello?" Mikado asked, puzzled. Chiba smiled faintly. "Mikado, we're husband and wife now, what should you call me?" He didn't answer Mikado's question, but instead teased her. Mikado's face suddenly flushed. "You have no respect for your elders," she said coquettishly, shook off Chiba's hand, but did not move away, still clinging to Chiba. "The more you try to hide, the more obvious it becomes." Chiba curled his lips. Where Mikado could not see, Chiba wiped away the smirk on his face, replaced by a steadiness that was inconsistent with his age. He didn't know much about Konoha. But, didn't he still have Zabuza? It was like a pillow provided when he was sleepy. As long as they caught Zabuza and interrogated him thoroughly, would they still have to worry about not having any information? Chiba calculated shrewdly, following behind Yakira, Zabuza and Shiro not far away. No matter what Zabuza wanted to do, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. That night, the inn, which is usually sparsely populated, was particularly popular tonight, with 3 rooms booked in a row. Zabuza and Chiba, one on the left and one on the right, sandwiched Yakira's room in the middle. Chiba and Mikado pretended to be a couple, so of course they couldn't sleep separately. Naturally, for the umpteenth time, Chiba and Mikado embraced. This time, Mikado wasn't looking at Chiba's usual childish face, but a strange, slightly handsome middle-aged man. Something felt strange. Mikado instinctively lowered her head, a blush behind her ear. Chiba raised an eyebrow slightly. "Not used to it, do you want me to change back?" "No." Mikado bit her lower lip and refused. It felt like she was facing a different man, but Mikado leaned in closer, smelling the familiar scent of Chiba. But this was fine. As long as it wasn't Chiba's face, it wouldn't seem so strange, she wouldn't feel like she was sharing a bed with a child. However, Mikado ignored the hidden thrill that was stirring deep within her. The thrill of lying with a strange man. Mikado's eyes kept wandering, and Chiba didn't miss them. Something in her heart stirred. "Mikado," Chiba's voice trailed off, deep and hoarse. His fingers slowly tightened, and Mikado was drawn into his embrace, tighter and tighter. They fit together almost perfectly, leaving no space between them. Mikado shuddered, her face flushing. "Chiba, Chiba." Chiba's hands were playing with her, and Mikado gradually softened into a puddle. Her vision was hazy, unfocused, but the only thing she could see clearly was Chiba's eyes. Dark, burning eyes. Mikado felt like she was on fire, her whole body burning, and a very soft moan escaped her lips. Her breathing suddenly became intense. Chiba slowly lowered his head, and Mikado's cherry-red cheeks and unconsciously parted lips were reflected in his pupils. Almost there, almost there. Outside the inn. Yekira returned from buying snacks. Night fell, and the fog thickened. She stopped in her tracks. Something was wrong. Alarm bells rang in her heart, and the years of ninja vigilance made her turn her head away. A streak of blood appeared on her face. Master, Yekira whipped a kunai from his pocket and assumed a fighting stance. She was startled to realize the fog around her was so thick she couldn't even see her fingers. There was a sound. Ding. Yekira held the kunai behind her head, blocking a large sword. A beheading sword. This person was coming for her life. Yekira didn't dare to be careless, forming hand seals with both hands. Scorch release, over steam kill. Instantly, 5 massive molten fireballs appeared behind Yekira, hurtling towards the blade-wielding individual in the blink of an eye. Ice release, Hyuga Chiba, walls of ice formed around Yekira, steam rising, evaporating all her attacks. Damn it. Attributes counteracted. Logically, ninja chakra attributes are roughly divided into 5 types, each counteracting another, just like lightning release countering earth release, which in turn counters water release. But Yekira never imagined that her own Kekkei would one day be countered. Another Kekkei? Yikang stared, his face darkening. This fog, this ice, put her in a desperate position. The longer she dragged on, the worse it became. Yikang understood and immediately summoned an immense ball of fire. Explode. With a low cry, Yikang blasted a path through the ice wall. In the distance, the small inn, half collapsed by the shockwave, looked horrific. Yikang turned and ran. Ice escape, ice rock hall. Countless ice walls rose from the ground, impenetrable, blocking Yikang's escape route. A burst of hurried footsteps could be heard. Die! A furious roar followed, and a massive sword slashed down at Yikang's head. It was a man. However, this thought only flashed through her mind, and Yikang didn't care whether the killer was a man or a woman. How could she escape? She was trapped in the ice wall. Ruai Jingu bang, bang, a figure flew backwards, straight out of the thick fog. Lord Zabuza, I say, if you want to fight, then fight, but please don't ruin my good deeds, okay? Chiba walked over with an expression on his face that was very unhappy. Quite unhappy, and extremely unhappy. Chapter 68, Instant Kill. With a casual sweep, the ice wall shattered, and Chiba easily rescued Yekira. Master. Yekira and Zabuza were both shocked. Who is that? Zabuza roared in disbelief. Wait, Byakugan, you're from Konoha? Zabuza took in Chiba's iconic eyes. Why would someone from Konoha intervene? But killing anyone was the same. Zabuza had already defected from the hidden mist village, living off bounties. That's why he and Haku targeted Yekira. Beautiful ninjas from Kumogakure were worth a fortune. An unknown ninja from Konoha? Let's die together. Zabuza's eyes flashed with greed and bloodlust, hefting his sword and charging at Chiba at full speed. In this thick fog, he was a god. Zabuza was confident. However, before the Byakugan, his every move was invisible. Chiba didn't shy away, and thunder roared. Puff, the lightning spear pierced Zabuza's chest, leaving a bloody hole the size of a thumb. Instant kill. Zabuza-sama, a young voice cried out in shock from afar, and Bai appeared. Then, ice release, magic mirror ice crystal, mirror after mirror surrounded Chiba, impenetrable. Chiba scoffed. Even an ice wall can't stop me, what good are your mirrors? Strength can defeat skill. With a golden cudgel in hand, all defenses are a joke. Bang! Chiba, wielding the golden cudgel, swung with such ferocity that ice shattered in every direction. He rushed to Bai's side at breakneck speed and sheathed the cudgel. Bai was a beauty after all. The golden cudgel was too cruel, too brutal. He was a woman of beauty. Thinking this, Chiba delivered a whip kick to Shiro's chest, sending her flying backwards, collapsing alongside Zabuza. Chiba swore he didn't mean to do that. He hadn't aimed for Bai's chest. It was all a miscalculation. Wait. That touch doesn't feel right. So flat. So hard. Damn. Could it be a man? Chiba stood there in shock. That foot felt definitely wrong. Bai was a man. Bai was actually a man. It was a bolt from the blue. In the distance, Bai stumbled to his feet, grabbed one of Zabuza's arms, and started to run. Chiba was furious. Explain yourself before you run. Unleashing his lightning armor, Chiba sent the two flying. He stepped on Bai, removed his mask, and glared at him fiercely. You're a man, Chiba roared. Bai stared at him with a stubborn look, the meaning self-evident. Swish, a sound of air piercing came from behind him. Chiba didn't even need to turn around, he just activated his lightning armor. Bai's sneak attack with ice needles couldn't get close. Kainai's breath was choked, and his expression was depressed. What? She is so cute, why is she a boy? At this moment. Ahem, Yukang coughed twice, attracting Kainai's attention. Kainai looked back, and after seeing Yukang's beautiful face, he felt a little relieved. Forget it, at least one person was saved. Yukang stepped forward a little embarrassedly and bowed to Kainai. Thank you for your help, senior. Yukang's tone was very sincere, and the touch in his eyes was not fake at all. Oh yes, he is still a middle-aged uncle now. Kainai reacted. You're welcome. When you see injustice, you will speak out. When it is time to take action, you will take action, Yukang. This person is so strange. Yukang hesitated, not knowing how to respond. Are you going to the Hidden Mist village? Kainai spoke first, and Yukang nodded. The mission of the village. Yukang did not speak, nor did he admit it. Lord Kazakage had specifically instructed her to keep this mission secret. If you think this is a top-secret mission and can't tell me, then you're truly naive. Chiba's words revealed Yukang's inner thoughts. Yukang shuddered, looking up at him in shock. Chiba shrugged. I've traveled extensively, and my connections are wide. You'd be dead if you went to Kumogakure. Your village has already made a deal with Kumogakure. You're just a bargaining chip. He didn't bother to waste time and simply told the truth. Yukang's pupils suddenly constricted. No, impossible, they won't betray me. I'm a hero, a dead hero is the best hero, Chiba said flatly. Don't you find it strange? Don't you have even a shred of doubt in your heart, with a battle between Tsunagakure and Iwagakure imminent, sending away an elite like you at such a crucial moment? Did the Tsunagakure leadership have their heads kicked by a donkey? Chiba scoffed rudely, watching Yukang's face gradually paler. Think about it, comrade. Chiba turned around and patted Yukang's shoulder with good intentions. He was definitely not taking advantage of him. Chiba's heart fluttered, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. Before he could finish enjoying it, Yukang slapped his hand away. Don't you dare to sow discord between me and Lord Kazakage. Lord Kazakage, he must have other considerations. As a ninja, I only need to do my best to complete the village's mission, Chiba sighed. Tisk, there are fools in every village, but Sand Village has especially many. Hell, Lord Zabuza, a weak snort accompanied by surprised call. Chiba glanced over and saw Zabuza had woken up. He had no intention of killing Zabuza, so the previous blow was naturally not aimed at his heart. The power of the lightning was just controlled. Zabuza listened for who knows how long. He half-raised himself, glanced at Chiba, and his eyes finally fell on Yukang. The cage from each village are all birds of a feather. The people of Kumogakure fear you and hate you, so wouldn't the Tsunagakure higher-ups know that? Despite all that, they sent you anyway. Ho ha ho ha, you're all trash. Trash who don't treat people like human beings. Zabuza laughed wildly, unconcerned about the damage done to his wound. Zabuza-sama, please take care of yourself. Shiro worriedly supported Zabuza, but Zabuza impatiently shook his hand off. Yakura was stunned. The Kumogakure symbol, slashed across Zabuza's head, was a powerful persuasive force. Chiba shook her head helplessly. He tried to persuade him further, but Yakura had already condensed a ball of fire, aimed at him and Zabuza. She stared at Chiba with a cold stare. Senior, you saved my life, but that's all. If you ever try to alienate me from the village again, don't blame me for being rude. With that, Yakura backed away, disappearing completely from Chiba's sight. Chiba's hand remained frozen in midair. You have to be able to beat me, Chiba muttered. Ugh, the beauty I had just gotten is gone. With so much ups and downs, Chiba's mood was at its worst. And yet, ice escape, bang. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 True Love. Hey, how many times are you going to sneak attack me? Chiba frowned, looking back at the nervous Shiro. However, he wasn't targeting him. Chiba sighed, trying to look as vicious as possible. He pulled out a kunai and pressed it against Zabuza's neck. Tell me everything you know about Kumogakure. Zabuza's eyes widened, his pupils shrunk into a point. You're dreaming. Chiba froze for a moment, bewildered. Aren't you a traitor? HMPH, Zabuza grumbled. I only betrayed the Mizukage, not the entire village. Someone like you who grew up in Konoha wouldn't understand such feelings. Zabuza glared at Chiba with resentment, showing no fear. I understand. Chiba sheathed his kunai, crouched down, and studied Zabuza closely. He pointed to his own eyes, his signature Byakugan. One of the highest Kekkei Genkei. Byakugan, many people want them, Chiba said slowly. People from other ninja villages died in Konoha, and they found excuses to use the Byakugan to pay for their lives. Using mine, the clan leader protected me, but the third Hokage wouldn't, so now I'm no different from the rebel ninja. We're the same kind of people. I understand the feelings you're talking about. Chiba chuckled to himself, calmly studying Zabuza's expression. Zabuza didn't waver at all. Tisk, this is tough. He'd thought he could appease him with emotion, but Zabuza hadn't expected such indifference. It seemed he could only. Resting his hand on his forehead, Chiba's eyes flashed. He locked eyes with Haku, like a beast poised for a pounce. Alarm bells rang. Zabuza-sama. Run. Haku used up his last chakra to summon an immense wall of ice, placing it between Chiba and Zabuza. Zabuza gritted his teeth, clutching his chest, staggered to his feet, and took off running. He had no regard for Haku's life or death. The ice wall wouldn't hold for much longer. I just hoped Shiro could hold off that Konoha pervert. If he couldn't stop him. No, Shiro would. Even if it meant sacrificing his own life, Shiro would stop that man. Zabuza was confident. Shiro devoted himself to him unconditionally, and he trusted him unconditionally. But why did his heart ache? Shiro will sacrifice. This thought replayed in Zabuza's mind, causing a knot in his stomach. No, it couldn't be. How could he care about the life of a little brat? Zabuza gritted his teeth, desperately controlling his head, preventing himself from turning back. Puff. Then, behind him, a sound of something being pierced through came. His pupils trembled violently, and Zabuza looked back abruptly. The Konoha man's hand had pierced Shiro's heart. Shiro's hand slowly dropped, his life draining away bit by bit. Did Shiro glance at him one last time? Were his eyes saying, "Run, Zabuza-sama"? Zabuza was pinned to the spot, watching helplessly as Haku died before him. No, a tear streaked across Zabuza's eyes, his eyes tearing up. His chakra became chaotic and violent, and just as he was about to return to Chiba and die together, Zabuza's body suddenly trembled violently. Before him, the man from Konoha was close at hand, and Haku wasn't dead either. Zabuza, sweating profusely, slowly regained consciousness. "Jinjutsu," he muttered. "Yes," Chiba nodded, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Anyone who has seen Naruto knows that while Zabuza may have viewed Haku as a tool, he had long since accepted him and considered him a companion. He had merely manipulated him. Shisu's eyes were truly useful. While not a Kido Matsukami, they were more than enough to deal with Zabuza. The moment Zabuza saw him looking at Haku, he was already in an illusion. Chiba's eyes were playful, and he pursed his lips at Shiro. "You still care about him, don't you?" Zabuza narrowed his eyes and tilted his head to the side, unwilling to admit it. HMPH, Zabuza snorted. Yo, Chiba raised an eyebrow. "If you don't tell me the information, he'll really be dead." Chiba's fingers formed into the shape of a gun, and a blue-purple electric current appeared at his fingertips, aiming at Shiro's throat. A millimeter closer and Shiro would be dead. Shiro was forced to raise his head, the skin on his neck pale and taut, like a piece of paper about to break. Zabuza's throat tightened, and he glared at Chiba angrily. 3. Chiba rolled his eyes, not wanting to waste words. As soon as he finished speaking, a small scorch appeared on Shiro's skin. 2. I'll say, Zabuza couldn't bear it anymore, and looked at Chiba with a sullen look. Chiba sneered. "Tell me everything you know." Zabuza thought for a moment, trying to decide his words. Kumogakure. Kumogakure is very strict these days. I'm sure you've heard of the nickname Land of the Blood Mist. Chiba nodded, motioning for Zabuza to continue. The fourth Mizukage, Yagura, Like he's possessed by a demon, he's ruthlessly eliminating dissidents. He's targeting meritorious officials, veterans, even those with bloodline limits. None of them are spared. I couldn't stand that, so I defected from Kumogakure. Chiba frowned. Zabuza's gaze was far-reaching, recollecting something. But then, a ninja with a bloodline limit stood up and led a group of ninjas dissatisfied with Yagura in a fierce resistance. Overestimating their abilities. I guess Yagura has already dealt with them. Chiba's heart skipped a beat. Bloodline limit? Rebellion against Yagura? A proud scene immediately emerged in his mind. What was that ninja's name? Who? The one who fought against Yagura, Chiba said impatiently. Zabuza paused for a moment. It seems to be Mei Terumi, as expected. Chiba's eyes lit up, the corners of his mouth curling slightly. He patted his butt and stood up, looking down at Zabuza and Haku with a condescending look. Alright, you guys go, Zabuza? You're not going to kill us. Zabuza hesitated, shocked. With a man's strength, killing him and Haku wouldn't be a problem. Besides, this man had already hinted at murderous intent many times. Why would I kill you? Chiba scoffed. There's no sense of accomplishment at all. Chiba let Zabuza and Haku go, watching them walk away, each supporting the other, and a strange feeling of envy welled up in his heart. Ugh, when would he ever be this close to Mikado? Remembering the good things Zabuza had ruined for him, Chiba's fists clenched and unclenched, finally giving up the idea of returning to Zabuza to settle the score. Forget it, getting to Kumogakure to save Izumi is more important. Besides, with no one around, Chiba could finally laugh freely. Mei Terumi is waiting for him. Chapter 70 Terumi Mei. The sky was clear and the air was crisp. Inside a small inn outside the hidden mist village, Mikado gazed deeply at Chiba, words lingering in her eyes. The worry in her eyes spoke volumes. That night, their room was affected by fighting, and she had fled from Chiba's embrace, only for Chiba to storm out in a rage. Mikado didn't know what had happened outside, she only knew her heart was in turmoil. From then on, despite Chiba's whims, Mikado never slept with him again. Until Chiba settled her outside the hidden mist village, under the pretext, the hidden mist village is dangerous, and it's for your own good that you stay here. Mikado understood the reason, but she couldn't help but worry about Chiba. Her eyes opened and closed, words spoken. Chiba smiled faintly. Mikado-ne, are you worried about me? Mikado remained silent, biting her lower lip. Suddenly, a shadow enveloped her, followed by a familiar touch and smell. Chiba wrapped his arm around her waist. Mikado froze, wanting to struggle, but unable to. Never mind, let him go. Kumogakure is such a dangerous place. Mikado sighed inwardly, resignedly wrapping her arms around Chiba's waist, tightening her grip bit by bit. Come back safely, she muttered, burying her head in Chiba's neck. Mikado's breath tickled her neck. Chiba's heart skipped a beat. His Adam's apple slid open, and he released Mikado. In the moment Mikado was stunned, two warm lips pressed against her forehead. Wait for me, Mikado-ne, I'll be back as soon as possible, don't miss me too much, Chiba said, then vanished in a flash. Mikado realized what was happening, her face flushing. This guy? What a brat. Out of Mikado's sight, Chiba transformed into an ordinary Kumogakure ninja. The smile on his face faded, and Chiba became extremely alert. The land of blood mist was not to be taken lightly. Thick with steam and a thick fog, the hidden mist village was no different from the darkness of night. A torrential downpour fell, concealing countless sins beneath its surface. In an unknown alley, the clash of weapons echoed relentlessly. Water style, water dragon bullet. Mei Terumi summoned a massive water dragon and hurled it fiercely at the Anbu ninja before her. Earth style, earth flow wall. Walls rose from the ground, not only blocking Mei Terumi's water dragon bullet but also encircling her. There weren't many ninjas in the hidden mist village who could use earth style. Yagura, you really think highly of me. Such a generous gesture. Terumi panted, a simmering resentment welling in her heart. It seemed Yagura intended her to die here. Mei, what do we do now? A man with an eye patch beside Mei Terumi urgently asked. He was Ao, one of the few remaining helpers Mei Terumi had. The 7 ninja swordsmen had defected, significantly weakening the hidden mist village. Coupled with Yagura's iron-fisted policies, there were only a handful of ninjas capable of serving Mei Terumi. No, she couldn't surrender. If she died, there would be no hope for the hidden mist village. Mei Terumi gritted her teeth, rushed to Ao's side, grabbed her by the collar, and leaped upward. Dissolve release, monster dissolve jutsu, a cloud of acid poured down from above, shattering a hole in the earthen wall. The Lord has issued a death order. She must not escape. If you fail this mission, you know the consequences, an Anbu captain shouted, casually hurling several shurikens. Hearing this, the other Anbu ninjas all sprang into action, fending off Mei Terumi's dissolve release while attacking fiercely. Ninjutsu, shurikens, and kyune were all fired at Mei Terumi. Ming, be careful. In mid-air, Ao embraced Mei Terumi, lifting his eye patch to reveal his transplanted Byakugan. Using his Byakugan, he spun and weaved through the air, desperately dodging wave after wave of attacks. After stumbling to the ground, Terumi Mei used the boiling release technique to create a puff of white mist, and she and Ao vanished into the streets in an instant. Follow them, I'll find them alive or dead. The Anbu hurried after them, leaving no stone unturned. Ao's Byakugan use was far from expert, and he sustained numerous wounds. The same was true for Terumi Mei. The hem of her long blue skirt had been burned away by some ninjutsu, barely covering her vital parts, leaving her long, straight, white legs exposed. A long rip had appeared at the back of the skirt, revealing vast expanses of snow-white skin. Terumi Mei's clothing now resembled two pieces of rags barely sewn together, crumbling and shattering, revealing a glimpse of the beautiful scenery. Ao swallowed unconsciously, a deep desire etched in her eyes. He had invited Mei Terumi out today. Thinking of this, Qing couldn't help but feel a surge of guilt, lowering his head in shame. Ming, don't blame yourself. The Yondame has been trying to kill me for a while now. Qing was delighted. Was Ming trying to comfort herself? She had me in her heart. However, Mei Terumi's next words were like a bucket of cold water poured over his head. Even if it wasn't today, he would have done it sooner or later. Qing was stunned, forcing a smile to hide his disappointment. The sound of hurried, chaotic footsteps echoed through the rain. Mei Terumi, startled, pulled Qing into deeper darkness. A few minutes later, two ordinary people emerged from the darkness. It was Mei Terumi and Qing, who had used a transformation jutsu. Kirigakure isn't safe, it would be best to escape and take shelter. Mei Terumi thought as she headed straight for the village gate. Suddenly, hello, may I ask? A strange man stopped her and Qing. Sensing danger, Qing instinctively threw a kyune, but was pinned down by Mei Terumi. The man who spoke, seemingly just an ordinary ninja, was startled by Ao's fierce expression. He left before he could finish his words. Don't cause trouble, be careful, Mei Terumi warned in a low, somewhat disapproving voice. Ao gritted his teeth and replied, yes. The two continued on their way, completely unaware that someone had caught up with them. It was Chiba. He had simply been asking for directions, but instead, he'd smelled the scent of blood on them. He watched from behind and saw, as expected, they had used a transformation jutsu. Ninja on a mission? Kirigakure's traitors? Or Abido? Sensing something was amiss, Chiba changed his appearance, concealed his presence, and followed. And they didn't disappoint. They could dispatch Kirigakure's guards with a single blow, quite impressive. Chiba glanced back at the corpses on the ground, his interest in the two men growing stronger. He'd been following them, concealed, all the way, but Chiba had never imagined he'd end up on a deserted island. Watching the two men moor their boat and approach the shore, Chiba hid in the water, feeling caught in a dilemma and at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 71 The Injured Terumi Mei. Mei Terumi and Ao stole a small boat and staggered to an isolated island outside the hidden mist village. Exhausted, neither noticed Chiba's presence. Glancing around, they found the place deserted. Ao breathed a sigh of relief, then released his transformation technique and plopped down on the ground. Mei Terumi frowned slightly, suspecting that Ao had been a bit careless, but said nothing. In the water, Chiba's eyes lit up, as expected. He knew these two were not ordinary people. The man was Ao, so could the woman beside him be. Bang! The white smoke dissipated, and Mei Terumi returned to her original form. Chiba's eyes widened, his breath catching. So big, so white. No, the wound was so deep. Chiba's gaze was fixed on the knife wound on Mei Terumi's chest, his heart itching. It must be because he felt too sorry for Mei Terumi, that must be it. Chiba explained to himself, closing his eyes with difficulty. If he didn't, he would lose his invisibility. Chiba barely managed to suppress his chaotic aura and chakra when suddenly, Several dangerous auras rushed towards him. Damn it, Kirigakure's people are catching up. On the shore, Quing cursed softly and quickly stood up, only to see blackness before his eyes. Quing, Terumi Mei supported Quing, her beautiful eyes fixed on the figure on the water, her breathing heavy. Was she really going to die here? Terumi Mei hated herself, and with all her might, she drew her kunai, ready to fight to the death. To make matters worse, Quing told Terumi Mei some very bad news. Ming, my Byakugan seems to be failing. Overuse of my pupil power. Terumi Mei's fingers stiffened, and she pushed Quing behind her. Protect yourself. In this situation, she truly couldn't focus on protecting Quing. Quing's face paled. Would Mei think he was useless? He gritted his teeth, his one eye open, and stood stubbornly shoulder to shoulder with Terumi Mei. We'll die together, Quing declared. Terumi Mei. She didn't really want to die. However, there was no time to dwell on this. The Kirigakure ninjas had already rushed in front of the two. Ding! Mei Terumi raised her hand to block the blow, her arm numb from the shock. Her physical strength and her chakra were almost gone. Mei Terumi pursed her lips. As Kirigakure ninjas, can you bear to watch Kirigakure continue to degenerate? So many innocent people have sacrificed in vain. Is it really worth it? Mei Terumi fought and retreated, her strength greatly reduced, and she even resorted to verbal tactics. The ninjas attacking her were momentarily distracted. Mei Terumi took the opportunity to speak. The Yondaime has long been controlled by someone else. You are not loyal to the village now, but to a bastard hiding in the shadows and refusing to show yourself. Can you see clearly? As she spoke, Mei Terumi became angry and raised her hand to block the attack, sending the Kirigakure ninja's sword flying out of her hand. How dare you? How dare you slander the Mizukage? Your crime is even greater. Another ninja charged forward, forming hand seals. Water style, water whip. A whip made of water bound Mei Terumi tightly, immobilizing her. Damn it! With her hands tied behind her back, she couldn't even unleash a ninjutsu. Water style, water dragon bullet. The water dragon opened its bloody maw and lunged at Mei Terumi. It was over. Mei Terumi's pupils trembled violently. Thunder dragon. A figure appeared out of nowhere, followed closely by a thunder dragon. The blue and purple dragons tangled together, their attributes clearly opposing, yet the thunder dragon seemed to have the upper hand. Mei Terumi stared at the scene in disbelief, her mouth gaping. The immense force of the impact sent waves and wind surging inward, his clothes fluttering and the man's hair billowing in the wind. His sharp, cold face was reflected in Terumi Mei's eyes. His perfectly cropped hair barely covered his forehead, and his thin lips gave him a look of formidable fortitude. The disdain in his eyes seemed innate. Terumi Mei was stunned for a moment, then, sensing a cold glance from his dark eyes, she averted her gaze in shock, a faint blush creeping across her face. Who is this man? Before Terumi Mei could even ask, the man moved again. Divine judgment, a flash of lightning flashed, and a long, lightning-powered blade materialized from his palm. With a single flick, the man's head fell to the ground. So powerful. Terumi Mei was astonished. Was this powerful man coming to help her? Why? Her delicate brows furrowed slightly, but Terumi Mei didn't dare to be careless. Growing up in a place like Kirigakure, she'd long since developed a habit of being on the edge of a knife, wary of most people. Terumi Mei was in a state of shock and uncertainty. In mid-air, Chiba pounced on the remaining Kirigakure ninjas, dispatching them effortlessly. Only one person remained. Who are you? Why are you interfering in Kirigakure's affairs? The man demanded in horror. Do you even know what a hero saving a beauty means? Chiba said calmly, then pierced the man's chest with one hand. Total destruction. With a smirk, Chiba landed gracefully and untied Terumi Mei. Terumi Mei lost her balance and stumbled into Chiba's arms. Chiba reached out and wrapped his arm around Terumi Mei's waist, then released her. Thank you, Terumi Mei whispered. A gust of wind blew by, a chill tinge of air. Terumi Mei looked down and saw her clothes were soaked through, practically nothing. It must have been all those water-based attacks. Mei Terumi's face flushed crimson. The shame she felt in her heart only slightly lessened when she realized the man wasn't looking at her. But, why did she still feel a little lost? Terumi subconsciously ignored the feeling. She was about to say something else, but out of the corner of her eye, she saw Quing collapse stiffly. Quing, she was about to rush over when a flash of lightning appeared, and the man, in an instant, carried Quing back to her. It's not safe here. Let's move somewhere else, Chiba kindly warned, starting to walk away. Terumi nodded and followed his lead. Deep in the dense forest, Chiba leaned Queen against a tree and delivered a lightning bolt to his heart. I'm saving him, Chiba said. Terumi opened her mouth, but finally decided to believe him. The moment the lightning vanished, Queen's eyes snapped open, gasping for air. Ming, where are you? What happened to you? Queen fumbled around with his hands raised, shouting in panic. I'm fine, I'm right in front of you, Mei Terumi comforted softly, casually setting up a barrier around her. She looked at Queen worriedly. You can't see with both eyes. He used too much force and finally forced the Byakugan to activate, causing temporary blindness in both eyes. It's not a big deal, Chiba explained for Queen in a calm tone. Who is it? Who are you? Chapter 72 Cooperation. Chiba snorted in annoyance and didn't answer Queen. If it weren't for Mei Terumi, he wouldn't have saved Queen. He dared yell at him even after he woke him up. He really wanted to pierce Queen with Raikage. Chiba rolled his eyes, his expression growing even colder. Mei Terumi sensed something was wrong. He couldn't afford to anger a powerful being at this moment. Queen, this senior just saved us. He's our benefactor, Mei Terumi spoke to Queen in a rare, forceful tone. Queen's mouth stiffened, and he stammered for a long time before finally mumbling a muffled I'm sorry. Chiba still ignored him. Senior, what's your name? Mei Terumi quickly intervened. Kainin, Chiba casually said, then looked at Mei Terumi intently. You're injured. Do you need me to bandage you? Mei Terumi was stunned, her red lips parted. No. Before Mei Terumi could say anything, Queen started yelling. Why not ask you to come? Kainai glanced at Queen. You're blind, Queen, stay here and be quiet. We'll be right back. Fearing a quarrel between Queen and Kainai, Terumi Mei agreed without further ado. Then I'll trouble you, Senior Kainen. In a deserted corner, Terumi Mei sat down, her exposed skin gradually turning a pink. Senior Kainen's gaze. Terumi Mei flinched and gently tugged off her shoulder straps. Trouble, ugh. Before she could finish her sentence, the cold ointment irritated the wound, and Terumi Mei couldn't help but cry out in pain. It'll hurt a little, bear with it, Kainai soothed, his hand steady. Okay, Senior. Terumi Mei endured it as best she could, her hands tightly grasping the corner of her clothes, her eyes unconsciously closing. However, the darkness amplified all her senses. Senior Kainen's lingering warmth, the numbing ointment, and the coils of gauze wrapped around her. Kainen's hand, following the gauze, moved around. Mei Terumi hunched her shoulders, her eyelashes trembling. It was itchy. It felt like something was about to come out. A low moan left Chiba and Terumi both stunned. Terumi opened her eyes in panic and covered her mouth. I'm sorry, Chijin-senpai, she turned back to Chiba, wanting to explain, but she didn't know where to begin. It's okay, it's normal. Chiba smiled for the first time since meeting Terumi, and even though it was only a fleeting moment, it was enough to send Terumi into trance. So pretty. No, this wasn't the time to think about that. But the atmosphere was definitely awkward right now. Suddenly, an idea struck Terumi. Why did you come to the Hidden Mist Village, Senior? She quickly changed the subject and asked the question that had been lingering in her mind. Looking for someone, Chiba said succinctly. Looking for someone? Who? Chiba's answer only deepened Terumi's confusion. She twisted her fingers, hesitating. To be honest, she was impressed by Chijin-senpai's strength. Even in her prime, it would have taken her some effort to deal with those assassins sent over. But Senior Chijin managed them effortlessly. Her throat tightened, and Terumi Mei's heart was moved. With Senior Chijin's help, she would definitely be able to oust Yagura. Why did Senior Chijin save me? Terumi Mei asked. It was just a matter of convenience, Chiba said, extremely cold. Terumi Mei pouted. She had thought there was another reason. Gritting her teeth, Terumi Mei decided to directly extend an olive branch. Senior Chijin, you saw it too. The people from the Hidden Mist Village are chasing me. I need your help. Could you please help me again, Senior? Terumi Mei held Chiba's hand, looking at him nervously. Chiba looked down and saw. No, Chiba flatly refused, his voice a little hoarse. Senior, just wait until I ascend to the position of Mizukage, and I'll be at your disposal. Senior, stop. Mei Terumi was about to offer some advice, but Chiba stopped her. I don't want to get involved in your Kurigakure mess, and I don't have the time. Like I said, I need to find someone, Chiba explained. He didn't mind taking the time to rescue Mei Terumi. It wouldn't take much effort or time. However, helping Mei Terumi overthrow Yagura was a different matter. He didn't have the time or the energy to do so. Chiba still remembered his purpose in Kurigakure, to save Izumi. Just as he was wrapping the final layer of gauze, Chiba clapped his hands and turned to leave. Just then, Mei Terumi suddenly stood up. "What if I can help you find that person? How about we work together? You help me, I help you." Mei Terumi's chest heaved slightly, her heart pounding. She truly needed Chiba's help, but she wasn't sure if he'd agree. Chiba paused and chuckled. "You can't even protect yourself now, how can you help me? I have an intelligence network in Kurigakure too, senior. Just tell me the person's specific features, and I'll definitely help you find him," Terumi Mei said urgently, afraid that if he was any slower, Kayane would leave. Chiba raised an eyebrow. "A girl with black eyes and black hair, very pretty. Can you find her?" He gave a brief description of Izumi's appearance, his tone calm. "A girl," Terumi Mei muttered, lowering his eyes in thought. Chiba waited a moment, but received no reply. "Look, what did he say? He can't even protect himself." Chiba made a move to leave. "I remember," Terumi Mei quickly stopped him. "I remember one day, the fourth Mizuka Jagger brought back a girl from Konoha, black hair and black eyes. As for her appearance, I'm sorry, I didn't see clearly." Terumi Mei bit her lip. Why didn't she take a closer look that day? Was that girl the one Kayane Sr. was looking for? Mei Terumi wasn't sure, but this was the only information she had. If not, Mei Terumi dropped her hand dejectedly, the hope in her heart fading bit by bit. Before she completely lost hope, she saw Chijin return. Chiba slowly walked up to Mei Terumi, his gaze firm. "Alright, let's work together." He didn't reveal Izumi's Konoha background, but Mei Terumi did. The girl Yagura had taken was most likely Izumi. If that was the case, there was no reason not to work with Mei Terumi. First, he could rescue Izumi, and second, he could do Mei Terumi a favor. Why not? "Let me make it clear in advance that I won't attack the Mizukage. After all, I don't want to be on the Hidden Mist Village's wanted list. The Mizukage is up to you, and the others are mine," Chiba stated his conditions. In fact, he hadn't said one more thing. He wouldn't care about Ibiro, who was controlling Yagura either. Find Izumi and run, that was Chiba's plan. He couldn't let his wonderful wanderings go to waste in the Hidden Mist Village. Chapter 73, Konoha's Rebel Ninja. In the dense forest, Chiba and Terumi Mei walked one after the other, Chiba in front, Terumi behind. Chiba couldn't see Terumi's expression, but his ninja's powerful senses told him she'd been stealing glances at him numerous times. Chiba curled her lips nonchalantly, ecstatic. Behind him, Terumi bit her lower lip nervously, her eyes always flicking towards Chiba. "Senior Chijin-sama, he's really strong, and handsome, too." The sudden thought startled Terumi Mei, and her face flushed. Terumi couldn't help but think of Chijin-sama bandaging her wound. Her skin felt warm, as if Chijin-sama's hand were still there. Her heart tingled, and Terumi, startled and embarrassed, nearly tripped over a branch. "Ah," Terumi gasped, and when she looked up again, she met Chiba's searching gaze. "No, I'm fine," Mei Terumi explained, hastily lowering her head to hide the blush on her face. Senior Chijin looked so serious. These fantasies of hers were so embarrassing. Mei Terumi shook her head, trying to shut it all away. Right now, the priority was finding a way back to Kurigakure and overthrowing Yagura. The night was dark and starless, and dawn was breaking. After a night of rest, Mei Terumi and Ao had both recovered and were in high spirits. Ao slowly opened his eyes and glanced at Chiba, who was resting with his eyes closed. He secretly resented that last night, Mei hadn't even been close to him, but had been leaning against that stranger. Ao silently gritted his teeth, deeply upset. But he couldn't beat Chiba. Even more infuriating, yesterday, Mei Terumi told him that the man before them had reached a cooperation agreement with them to fight the fourth Mizukage together. How long would this man continue to pester Mei Terumi? Ao subconsciously assumed that Chiba was lingering because he was attracted to Mei Terumi's beauty. Chiba sensed the hostility and knew where it came from, but he didn't bother to care. A ninja who'd barely made it to the top thanks to the Hyuga clan's Byakugan. Haha, arguing with him would only lower his own status. Chiba focused, completely ignoring Aoki. Goo, just then, a tiny sound echoed, and Terumi Mei's face flushed red. Her stomach was growling. Embarrassed and ashamed, Terumi Mei immediately glanced at Chiba, but thankfully, Chiba didn't open his eyes. Before she could breathe a sigh of relief, Aoki took matters into her own hands again. Mei, I'll pick some fruit for you, Terumi Mei. Chiba. How can fruit ever fill you up? Terumi Mei was so frustrated with Aoki's kindness, but she couldn't say anything. Chiba silently pulled a military ration pill from his pocket and handed it to Terumi Mei. He also gave Aoki one. It wasn't that Chiba was a saint, but if he didn't give it to Aoki, Terumi Mei would definitely give her half of hers to Aoki. Mei Terumi blushed as she took the ration pills and mumbled a thank you. Quing, with a stern face, refused to take them. Chiba rolled his eyes and was about to withdraw his hand when Quing grabbed his wrist. Chiba was startled, his expression darkening. Let go, he said coldly. Haha, I think there's something wrong with you. Quing didn't let go, but instead looked Chiba up and down with a strange, scrutinizing look. Chiba suddenly felt a sense of unease. As expected, Quing tightened his grip, exerting all his strength. I was wondering why he looked more and more familiar, Quing muttered, a hint of disgust in his eyes. He turned to look at Mei Terumi. Ming, he's not some senior, not some master, he's just a brat, I know him. He's the Hyuga clan's rising prodigy, Konoha's traitorous ninja, Hyuga Chiba. Because you possess the Byakugan, Quing was extremely attentive to everything about the Hyuga clan, striving to acquire every possible information regarding them. But he didn't see clearly yesterday, and then he went blind. Quing glared at Chiba fiercely, waiting for him to make excuses. What did you say? Terumi Mei exclaimed, looking at Quing in disbelief, then looked at Chiba. Chiba shrugged. Yes, I am Hinata Chiba, he admitted it generously. Tell me. What exactly do you want to do by sneaking into the hidden mist village? Quing growled, even pulling out a kunai and pressing it against Chiba's neck. Terumi Mei unconsciously took a step forward to stop Quing, but stopped abruptly when she realized what was going on. Her eyes trembled as she stared straight at Chiba. Chiba narrowed his eyes slightly. With a thud, lightning armor covered his entire body, and Quing's kunai was directly deflected. Quing was startled and grabbed Terumi Mei's hand, putting some distance between them and Chiba. Terumi Mei frowned and pulled her hand away. Across from him, Chiba patted his butt, stood up, and retracted his lightning armor. I told you, I'm here to find someone, Chiba said calmly, looking directly into Terumi Mei's eyes. Terumi Mei shuddered, feeling uncomfortable under Chiba's gaze. Haha, who are you kidding? Quing scoffed. Ming, this guy must have other motives. He's probably after information about Konoha. Ming, you, as Quing spoke. He turned to look at Terumi Mei and saw her staring at Chiba. Behind his back, secretly. The look in Terumi Mei's eyes set Quing's alarm bells ringing. It was something he had never seen before. Ming, Quing shouted, forcing Terumi Mei to refocus her attention on him. Even if the fourth Mizukage is acting recklessly, that's our Konoha's internal affairs. How can we let a little brat from Konoha interfere, and he's a traitor to Konoha? For the good of the village, we can't let him leave. Quing spoke in a serious tone, upholding the banner of justice. Terumi Mei was stunned by his shouting, a hint of hesitation on her face. Kainai snorted coldly. You won't let me leave, that's only if you can stop me. Kainai was filled with disdain. With a roar of thunder, he was in front of Quing in a split second. With a knee, he tossed Quing to the ground. He knelt on Quing's chest, pinning him down, unable to move. Concentrating the force of lightning at his fingertips, Kainai aimed at Quing's right eye. This eye of yours originally belonged to the Hyuga family. You've received favors from the Hyuga family, so keep your mouth shut. Understand? Otherwise, I wouldn't mind destroying this eye for the Hyuga family. Kainai, Mei Terumi's anxious cry reached out. Kainai sighed softly, thought for a moment, and withdrew his hand. I think our cooperation can no longer continue. Farewell, Kainai said indifferently, transforming into a flash of lightning and disappearing into the horizon. Quing clutched his chest and rose, gasping for breath. The pressure Kainai had just given him was too strong. For the first time, he truly experienced the feeling of death. Mei Terumi had no time to pay attention to him. Her beautiful eyes gazed into the distance, silent for a long moment. Deep in the dense forest, Chiba had intended to head straight for the hidden mist village to seek Yagura's return. However, several sounds of piercing the air echoed, mingled with an extremely dangerous aura. Chapter 74 Obito. Chiba was shocked. It had been a long time since he felt such a strong sense of danger and murderous intent from others. The last time was when Fugaku used Susanoo. Chiba quickly concealed his figure and hid behind a tree. Soon, a group of Kurigakure ninjas hurriedly ran past him. The last one was obviously Yagura. The fourth Mizukage, the three-tails Jinchuriki, Kiratachi Yagura. Chiba raised his eyebrows. Yagura is here. Does that mean that Obito is not far away? Chiba didn't want to care about this matter, but since Obito might show up, why not make a concerted effort and rescue Izumi? Chiba sighed and followed quietly. Oh, is it time for our hero to save the damsel in distress again? He actually wanted Ao to die. Deep in the dense forest, Ao's face was still a little pale, frightened by Chiba. He pounded the ground hard, muttering to himself. That Chiba must have bad intentions. Ming, you're so gullible. If he really did make it to the village, we'd be attacked from all sides. You should have just listened to me. That's enough. Terumi Mei interrupted Quing's subsequent lecture, her brow furrowed in a sinister manner. Quing's mouth remained open, her face turning dark and purple. Terumi Mei's tone had been unprecedentedly forceful. Could it be because of Chiba? The more Quing thought about it, the more likely it seemed, her jealousy flaring. Terumi Mei gave a final, tender, nostalgic glance in the direction Chiba had left. Her mind was now filled with a memory of Chiba bandaging her wound yesterday. That tenderness and care weren't fake. Chiba's intentions weren't as sordid as Quing claimed. Without Chiba, how would she deal with Yagura? Terumi Mei felt her headache. Suddenly, a solemn, tense atmosphere filled the air. Terumi Mei and Quing stared at each other, both sensing something was amiss. Byakugan, open, pulling off his blindfold and using his Byakugan, Quing saw the Kurigakure ninjas. He and Terumi Mei were surrounded. Ming, we're surrounded, so many people. Damn it, Chiba must have betrayed us. Even then, Quing still didn't forget to step on Chiba. Terumi Mei frowned. Let's first think about how to escape this, Terumi Mei said solemnly. She knew in her heart that Chiba had just left, so how could he have time to go to Kurigakure to tip off? Glancing at Quing expressionlessly, Terumi Mei grew increasingly disappointed in him. He was so narrow-minded, he couldn't handle such a big responsibility. Terumi Mei sarcastically said, her position in her heart declining again and again. Yet. Ming, run. I'll cover your back. With that, Quing rushed out. Terumi Mei? With a deep breath, Terumi Mei almost had a cardiac arrest from Quing's actions. This idiot. Cursing silently, Terumi Mei no longer wanted to care about Ao. He no longer held any power. But, she truly didn't have any extra manpower. With a resigned sigh, Terumi Mei channeled her chakra and followed Ao. A thin figure emerged from the shadows, confronting Terumi Mei face to face. Yagura? Even Yagura is here? Squinting slightly, Terumi Mei realized the seriousness of the situation. Terumi Mei, Yagura said. Surrender and hand over your followers, and I can spare your life. Gripping the iron rod in one hand, Yagura said indifferently. Don't dream, Terumi Mei sneered. Everyone knows what happens to those ninja who surrender. Yagura gave a non-committal smile. More and more Embu ninja emerged from the forest, densely packed, surrounding Terumi Mei and Ao. A drop of sweat ran down Terumi Mei's forehead. You're right, then I'll leave your body intact. Yagura's words were incredibly arrogant. Terumi Mei gritted her teeth. Things had come to a point where she had no choice but to fight to the death. Everyone, Yagura has long been controlled by someone else. Don't risk your lives for someone who's not worth it. If this continues, Kurigakure will truly be doomed. Terumi Mei struggled desperately, trying her best to let the Kurigakure ninjas know that Yagura was no longer the Yagura of the past. The Yagura of today would only lead Kurigakure into the abyss. However, no one listened. How could the dignified Mizukage be controlled by someone else? The ninjas didn't see the fierceness that flashed in Yagura's eyes. Terumi Mei opened her mouth, wanting to say something else. You're useless, Mei. These people won't believe you. Quing grabbed Terumi Mei and stared at Yagura. Terumi Mei knew what Quing said was true. However, if they didn't give it a try, facing the Yagura who far outnumbered them, they had no chance of winning. Terumi Mei's eyes darkened. Since they couldn't convince them, they might as well end it quickly. With a firm mind, Mei Terumi suddenly rushed towards Yagura. Dissolution style, dissolution technique. Her attack immediately activated her Kekai Genkai. Bang! A massive scarlet chakra tail appeared behind Yagura, shielding him securely and leaving him unharmed. A tailed beast transformation? Yagura truly wanted her dead. Harnessing the power of the three tails, Yagura leaped into the air, using only physical techniques to battle Mei Terumi to a standstill. Even the strongest Kekkei Genkai was futile against a tailed beast. Mei Terumi was gradually losing ground, her strength rapidly draining. Ming, on the ground, Ao kicked an Anbu ninja away, his heart pounding. No way, he had to help Mei Terumi. Unable to think about anything else, Ao leaped at Yagura, kunai in hand, his water dragon bomb just one seal away. Yagura didn't even glance at him. Bang! The tailed beast's chakra transformed into a second tail, flinging him away. Dust flew as Ao fell to the ground, his life or death uncertain. Mei Terumi was too busy to care about him. After dealing with the troublesome Ao, the remaining Kurigakure ninjas began to help Yagura deal with Mei Terumi, who was becoming increasingly overwhelmed. No one noticed Chiba. Chiba hid himself well, opening his Byakugan and scanning his surroundings calmly. Where could you be, Obito? A playful smile played at the corner of Chiba's mouth. He searched patiently. Finally, Chiba saw an unusual chakra fluctuation. He moved silently over, and just when Chiba thought he could slit Obito's throat without anyone noticing, Obito blocked it with his backhand. Chiba-kun, long time no see. Obito showed no sign of panic or awareness of being discovered. Instead, he greeted Chiba with a smile. I'm curious, how did you know I was here? Anyone who has seen the anime knows, Chiba said calmly. Obito? Too lazy to explain to Obito, Chiba transformed into a lightning longsword and rushed towards him again. Obito dodged flexibly, and while twisting and turning, he did not forget to tease Chiba. Chiba-kun, are you here to find Izumi? You are really obedient. It seems that she is very important to you. Does Mikado know? Chapter 75 Battle with Three-Tailed Fox. Chiba paused, a look of annoyance on his face. You talk too much, Chiba cursed, casually throwing a shuriken at Obito. Obito pulled out his kunai and blocked it. Kill me, and you won't be able to find Izumi, Obito said with a smile, teasing Chiba like a cat. His breath hitched. Chiba sheathed his lightning armor, and looked at Obito with a cold expression. Beneath his mask, Obito curled his lips. Don't worry, Izumi is safe. She's in a place only I know about, to be more precise, a place only I can enter, so, you can't kill me. Chiba raised an eyebrow, not too surprised. Wasn't Obito talking about Kamui? What a show-off. Chiba smirked sarcastically. Where's your left eye? He asked, answering irrelevantly, deliberately. Obito's pupils trembled. That place, you're not the only one who can go, right? Chiba continued slowly, striking at Obito's vitals. While Kakashi hadn't yet grasped the mysteries of the Kamui dimension, Obito didn't know about it. This was a perfect way to threaten him, after all, he was such a jerk. Seeing Obito rendered mute by his provocation, Chiba let out a furious sigh. Damn it, how did this brat know everything? Obito's lips twitched wildly, his lips twitching furiously. HMPH, anyway, if you want to save Izumi, go kill Yagura now, otherwise, Izumi will be the one to die. Seeing this, Obito cut short his words, snorting coldly before stating his demands. Chiba's eyes narrowed, instantly understanding what Obito was up to. Obito was dead set on getting him to join Akatsuki. Killing Yagura in front of the Kurigakure ninja would surely put him on the Kurigakure's wanted list, right? A traitor to Konoha, a wanted criminal in Kurigakure, and already at odds with Kumogakure. Having already offended 3 of the 5 major ninja villages, who else could he turn to besides Akatsuki? What a plot. Chiba pondered silently, not immediately agreeing. Across from him, Obito was equally hesitant. Honestly, he didn't want Yagura to die. A perfectly controlled Jinchuriki was far more useful than a dead one. Moreover, he could use Yagura to control the Hidden Mist Village. Unfortunately, some within the Hidden Mist Village's leadership already suspected Yagura was being controlled, and the puppet regime wouldn't last long. Rather than letting the truth get out, it would be better to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and let Chiba take the blame. Obito pondered, his eyes darkening. What do you think, kid? Do you agree? Obito asked impatiently, his tone tinged with coercion. Chiba rolled his eyes and made his point clear. With a roar of thunder, he charged directly at the 4th Mizukage. The battlefield was littered with broken stones and the bodies of the Hidden Mist Village. Yagura, transformed into a tailed beast, fought with increasing courage, while Mei Terumi was exhausted. Her arms, thighs, and back were covered in wounds. The blue dress she'd painstakingly mended was shredded once again, a sight all too tragic when paired with the wounds. Terumi gasped for breath, too busy to care. Her chakra was dwindling, and Yagura had only used 2 of his tails. Was this the difference between her and the Jinchuriki? It looked like she was really going to die here today. Exhausted, Terumi's vision blurred, only Yagura still radiating a murderous aura. Die? At that moment, Yagura roared, swiping his crimson tail towards Terumi. Dissolution, bang! Before Terumi could form a hand seal, an indigo figure suddenly appeared and slammed into Yagura. 2 beams of light, one red and one blue, flew backward, and the sound of striking echoed in the air. It was Chiba. Terumi opened her mouth in surprise, her red lips trembling slightly. Chiba, had he come to save her? Balyanhu, in mid-air, Chiba caught Yagura off guard. After knocking Yagura back, he immediately unleashed Might Guy's signature ninjutsu, Balyanhu. Although he didn't activate the 8 gates, the instantaneous impact and destructive power of the accelerated lightning were even more ferocious and powerful than the 8 gates. The final blow landed firmly on Yagura's abdomen, sending him plummeting to the ground like a cannonball, creating a deep crater. Chiba landed gracefully, his face unblushing and breathless, a stark contrast to the shattered Yagura. Everyone was stunned, especially the ninjas of the Hidden Mist village. Mizukage-sama, someone exclaimed first, and then they all rushed towards Chiba. Thunder Dragon. Chiba didn't even bother to look. A thunder dragon appeared out of thin air, raising everything in its path. Yagura awoke faintly to the screams of the Hidden Mist village ninjas. He climbed out of the pit. Not a single Kurigakure ninja remained, all dead at Chiba's hands. He dared to kill even the Mizukage, so what was there for Chiba to care about? The lightning dissipated, and Chiba gazed at Yagura, perfectly calm. Under the chakra of the tailed beast, the flesh on Yagura's cheeks trembled violently, his face grim. Damn you! With Yagura's roar, the 3 tails' third tail suddenly took shape. But that wasn't enough. Yagura's eyes crimson, and he roared at the air. Release, roar, the 3 tails appeared. Oh my! A fully tailed beast. This thing is far more difficult to deal with than Susanoo. Chiba's pupils constricted slightly as he stared at the giant turtle before him. It dawned on him that he had truly angered Yagura. Roar, the 3 tails Isafu roared to the sky. Then, its massive head slowly descended, its enormous beastly eyes fixed on Chiba. His hair stood on end. With alarm bells ringing in his heart, Chiba made a decisive move and soared into the air. His long black hair fluttering in the wind, Chiba extended 2 fingers to his lips. Thunder God, boom, thousands of lightning bolts converged around Chiba, the thunder roaring deafeningly. Chiba's body gradually grew in size, a blue-purple statue of the Thunder God appearing. The gray Isabushi and the blue Thunder God engaged in a head-on confrontation. Roar, the 3-tail dragged its massive body towards Chiba. Chiba reached out and firmly grasped the sharp horns on its head. Divine judgment, Chiba gritted his teeth, thinking viciously. Roar, millions of volts of lightning coursed through his body, causing the 3-tail to struggle frantically in pain. After all, the 3-tail was still a tailed beast, its immense size a formidable one. Chiba, startled by the tearing sensation in his arm, quickly let go, putting some distance between them. The 3-tail glared at Chiba with a scorching hatred. How could a dignified tailed beast endure such humiliation? The 3-tailed beast was furious, opening its bloody mouth. Oh no! The tailed beast Jade. Can the purple gold gourd swallow this thing? Kayanai's heart tightened. The tailed beast Jade cannot be allowed to take shape. Kayanai understood. And with a thought, the golden hoop appeared in his hand. Today, I will take you, you monster. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.